Oh, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon. The time is now 4:15 p.m. I'd like to welcome you to the Fort Sam Houston Independent School District Board of Trustees hearing business meeting on July 30th, 2024. Located at the Fort Sam Houston Professional Development Center, 1908 Winans Road, San Antonio, Texas, 78234. Call to order. Agenda item 1 is a call to order. Agenda item number 2. Let the record reflect we have a quorum. The following board members are present. Secretary, Dr. Latoya Sizer. Board member, Colonel Retired Aaron Braxton. Board member, Ms. Andrea Nicholas. And President, Mr. Willie White. Public comments. Board policy of the local sets out the requirements for the public comment portion of a meeting. During the regular board meetings, public comments may be addressed on any topic, whether posted on the agenda or not. During special call meetings or work sessions, public comments are limited to the items posted on the agenda only. To participate in the public comments portion of a meeting, members of the public must sign their name on the sign-in sheet no later than 5 minutes, 3 minutes prior to the meeting is scheduled to begin, and shall indicate the topic in which they wish to speak on. The sign-in sheet is located on a place on the podium of the Professional Development Center, located at 1908 Winans Road, San Antonio, Texas, 78234. Let the record reflect the following board member is not present. Colonel Rebecca Zanate, new trustee. Agenda item 4, review of the Fort Sam Houston Independent School District proposed 2024-2025 official budget.
Ms. Novak, you have the call, ma'am.
All right, keep it set up.
How much was it?
All right, so we have our annual budget hearing. We always start with our vision, mission, and beliefs because that is what we focus on throughout the entire budget development process. We're all familiar with these. We also look at the goals that the board has adopted: recruiting, supporting, retaining highly effective workforce, building foundations of literacy and numeracy, and then connecting high school to college, career, and the military. So we have board policy and Texas Education Code that requires that we do have a budget. We have to have the public hearing, and public comments are welcome afterwards for those public comments. This is one of the very few times that the public does not have to sign up. They are welcome to speak after the hearing. And then at the meeting that is scheduled for 5 o'clock, the trustees will vote on that budget. So we operate on a fiscal year September 1 to August 31st. School districts are required to operate on a fund basis, so it's an accounting entity with a self-balancing set of accounts. We have the general fund, the child nutrition fund, and in our case, since we are the fiscal agent for the special ed co-op, we have that budget as well. Within those funds, we have what we call functions, and they represent general operational areas. And because the board for funds 199 and 240 adopt the budget at the function level, if there are any transfers of funds between those functions during the year, we have to bring those to the board for approval prior to expending those funds. So again, we've got the general operating budget, the child nutrition budget, and our special education cooperative. So these are the function codes that we look at, and you'll see, I'm not going to read them all out, they're listed there for you, and for any of the public, we've got the budget book there in the back. And then within those functions, we have what we call object code categories, and these are easier ways to look at how we spend the funds, and I'll be showing some graphs throughout this that represent how we spend those those funds. How do we develop the budget? We start at the campuses with a needs assessment, and from there they develop their campus improvement plans, and the district develops its own campus and district improvement plan, and from there the budget is developed. So we start looking at student enrollment literally on day 1 of the school year, and then throughout the year we're tracking it. We are also tracking average daily attendance as well as staffing data. We update our revenue estimates for both state funding and impact aid money. We look at how we are spending money this year compared to current year to date as well as the prior year. And then in February of every year, I open up the budget module. The campuses and departments then enter their budget requests. It's kept open for a couple of months. We review those, and then we look at what our staffing needs are going to be. So what are our challenges as we're developing the budget? We want to maintain pay equity with the surrounding school districts in Bexar County. TASB, the Texas Association of School Boards, every fall conducts a salary survey. It is voluntary for school districts to participate in it, but the majority of the school districts in Bexar County participate. So we look closely at what our surrounding competition, if you will, is paying. One of our other challenges, maintaining a safe and secure environment for our students and staff. And then as we go through the year, we want to provide service and support to our students and staff. Throughout that process, we want to be flexible and creative. We always want to have accountability, and throughout all of this, we want to do it with grace and gratitude. So our goals, we want to meet the needs of all of our students as well as our employees. We always want to, if funds permit, provide a pay increase, and then ensure we've got a lot of new state safety mandates that went into effect in the last few years, so making sure that we are meeting those needs as well. So what about the coming year, 24-25, and then even looking beyond that? We're always looking to ensure we have student success. Maintaining, we look at both TEA and JBSA for guidance with our safe environment. And our administrators, as well as our school boards, stay informed and engaged with the legislatures, National Association of Federally Impacted Schools, Military Impacted Schools, Texas Association of School Administrators, school boards, and school business officials are our lean-tos in getting information and staying current with what's happening both at the state and federal level. So impact aid. If we were a traditional school district like Northeast or Judson, we would have local property taxes. We don't have that. Our boundaries are entirely on federal property. So we have impact aid funding that replaces that. We look there for student counts, offer basic support, as well as special education, and students are weighted, and the maximum weight is for a student who resides on a military installation. What's unique about impact aid as far as funding through the Department of Education, it is not forward funded. So the money that we get through Title I, IDEA B money, we know this year what we're going to get next year because it's already been appropriated. Impact aid is appropriated in the year that we are in. The next difficult challenge with that is our federal government has shown in the last several years they do not pass a full year budget. So we operate off of continuing resolutions, which continues to have an impact on that. I still remember my very first year here. Again, impact aid is about half of our money. We didn't get a penny of impact aid until April when the school year was virtually over. Mm-hmm. So we budget conservatively because we don't know what that federal appropriation is going to be. So impact aid does require an annual application. The most critical piece to that application is our student survey. It is required every fall, and our campuses put a lot of effort into getting those surveys from the students, and we reach out repeatedly in getting those. We've noticed since COVID, it has become increasingly more difficult for those parents. So for the students who are non-resident transfer students, we make it a requirement for them that they have to fill out those. For the students who live on post, we do have the option to have the housing office verify those. We don't like creating extra work for somebody else. Pre-COVID, I would wind up sending 35, 45 names to the housing office. The last couple of years, I've been sending them over 200 student names. So we appreciate any support anybody can give, and having people understand that survey is critical. The funding formula for impact aid includes a local contribution rate, and there's 4 formula options. And school districts will receive the LCR that gives us the highest yield. School districts benefit, as many of you may already be aware. Texas is not a state known for putting a lot of money into public education, so we benefit from the national average. So we get 50% of the national average. It's a little bit hard to see on there, but the average, U.S. average spending per pupil is 18.6 thousand per student. In Texas, it's only 15.8. So when impact aid is calculated for us, they use the national average since we are so far below that. Now let's turn to state funding. We are paid, receive revenue based on average daily attendance, and then there's additional allotments for special ed, career and tech, at-risk kids, and the other categories that you see there. Texas is one of only 6 states that funds students based on attendance instead of enrollment. And how I explain this to folks who look at me and say, well, of course we should fund it based on attendance. Well, so if we've got 25 students in a classroom, and on average, let's say only 23 or 24 show up, okay. But what about the days there are all 25 kids there? So are we only gonna buy supplies for 23 kids? And on the days that all 25 kids are there, which 2 kids are you gonna say, sorry, you don't get to use the iPad today because we only buy enough for 95% of the kids. So that's the problem with attendance versus enrollment. Prior to COVID, our attendance rate was about 96.5%. In 22-23, it was 95%. Our campuses did a lot of work this year on attendance, and we rose to 95.5%. We are not alone in this. This is a national trend that we have seen with districts struggling to get their attendance rates back up to pre-COVID. We will be continuing the non-resident transfer program to serve our community. We do have transfers out of the general fund as we're developing the budget. Generally, our child nutrition fund runs at a deficit, and what we've seen here also post-COVID is for the students who pay for their meals. Pre-COVID, by the end of the school year, we would have ballpark about $1,000 worth of overdrawn accounts, and the general fund has to make that up. Post-COVID, we are looking anywhere from $9,000 to $11,000 that the general fund is having to put into the child nutrition fund because we've got parents who aren't paying for their students' meals. Staffing shortages. This was a real problem for us this past year, especially with special education paraeducators. Many school districts have struggled for years, especially with bus drivers and some other positions, but for us this year, this was a big issue. So the Special Education Cooperative contracted for paraeducator services this year because those students' IEPs required it. And when I talk about contracting, normally for overall contracted services that they would do, we would have maybe, I don't know, $100,000 to $200,000. This year, it's over $1.2 million in contracted services. Contracted services for the same educational services cost more than payroll cost. So we will see this in our general fund budget in the payments to shared services. TEA high cost funds does provide some partial reimbursement. We're getting about $650,000 back from TEA for that, but we still have a larger increase in those services. So compensation. Compensation is the bulk of, we're a service organization, so we pay our folks. That's the bulk of our budget. So again, we are looking at who's our market and trying to be competitive with that. So we are recommending to the board that we increase our starting salary for teachers to $59,000, which is up from $58,500. The teachers who were here last year, we are looking at a 2% of the midpoint, which is $1,320. For paraeducators, paraprofessionals, and the admin professional staff, 2% from the new midpoint. For our auxiliary staff, and this is our child nutrition, facilities, and transportation, we still have a little bit more work to do in being competitive, so we're recommending 3% from the new midpoint to remain competitive with those employee categories. We provide health insurance to all our employees. We are recommending that we increase our monthly contribution from $550 a month to $600 a month. For 3 of the 4 plans that are offered, the premium pays, we pay 100% of the employee premium, so it's a bonus for our employees. We also look at stipend schedules, and these are stipends for some of our academic and athletic programs. So, some of the sponsors for National Honor Society or, on the athletic side, all of the sports teams. So we made a few adjustments there and a slight increase in our substitute rates to remain competitive. We started several years ago offering an early resignation notice incentive. So if you turn in your resignation to us by the Monday that we return from spring break, and then you will, in your final paycheck, you will receive an extra $500. And it's a win-win for us because it allows our principals and department administrators to start looking for those folks as soon as possible, and beat the rush on some others. We will always have employees who turn in their resignations afterwards, but if I know I'm resigning and I have the opportunity to get $500, why not? So we look at our average daily attendance, our enrollment, and weighted average daily attendance because we get some pots of money for that as well. So you see generally we have an upward climb of about 8% in our average daily attendance going back over the last 10 years. So we're in good shape there. Our revenue history for the last 10 years, the green is the impact aid money. The blue is our state money. The local is basically interest income, which has been nice the last 3 years, and then some other sources that we get in. So you'll see we've had, and I'm going to explain the 24 here in a minute, why that one is up so much, which right there it is. So impact aid, traditionally, when we get money this fiscal year, it would be from the federal fiscal year, this year, and a little bit from the prior year because they were still settling up some stuff. This year, though, we got money from 2 prior federal fiscal years, fiscal year 22 and 23. So an extra $2.5 million. We won't see that again. So that's why you see that unusual bump in 24 for our impact aid revenue. Mm-hmm. And this had to do with some cleanup they were doing still from COVID. The other thing you'll see up there is that purple line, the learning opportunity threshold. Some of you may remember the term sequestration. When that was in effect, we did not receive 100% lot. Over those years that we did not receive 100% lot, had we been at 100% lot, that cost our school district about $5 million total. So there's a lot of things we could have done with $5 million. Because prior to 2015, actually prior to 2013, it had been 100% for many, many years. This is how we look at our expenses in the general fund, and this is where we're looking at the object code. So payroll, you see that is the bulk of our expenses. Then we have contracted services. The biggest component of contracted services for us is utilities. So the electric bill, the water bill, those type of things. Supplies, other operating, which a lot of that is travel, membership dues, those type of things. Debt service is a small amount. It's an accounting entry that we have to make for lease payments, capital outlay, and then our transfers out. Let me go back. So what I have on here for 24 is what I'm estimating our final expenses to be, and then 25 is the budget amount, which you see there. Our fund balance. So fund balance, basically you think of assets minus liabilities. So if you own a business, what we would call owner's equity. So what you owe minus what you owe, that's what's left over. The green is what we call unassigned, so free to use for any purposes. The blue is what the board has authorized to set aside for construction. So some of the construction projects that we've had that have come out of our general fund in recent years have been the addition, that whole wing there at the elementary PE classroom facility, when we renovated the culinary arts building. So those are some of the projects that have come out of there. To be fiscally conservative, the Texas Education Agency recommends that school districts have 2 to 3 months of operating expense in that unassigned fund balance. We keep a much higher amount there because of the erratic payment schedule for impact aid. Because even though we don't get an impact aid payment, we are still making our payroll payments twice a month and paying the utility bill and everything else. So from a fund balance standpoint, we are in good shape. So we'll look into some budgets and graphs just to show you where we are for this upcoming budget that we're recommending you approve. So this is our general fund budget, $30.2 million, 52% of it from state, 44% of it from federal, which is impact aid, the little bit of local, which is interest revenue, gate revenues, those type of things, and other sources, which is an accounting entry having to do with these payments. This is how we will spend the money by function. The big blue one there is instruction, things happening in the classroom, the $14.7 million. The next biggest one is the $3.29 million on the left side there, and that's facilities maintenance. Again, the biggest component of that is utility bills, but then all of the salaries for our custodians, maintenance workers, all of the supplies that they need from that. This is what that graph looks like if we look at it from the object code. So payroll is about 70% of it, and then you see the other categories there. So that's, and then the other way we have to look at our general fund, it's something called program intent. And with program intent, we are looking at the student population, how those students are identified and how we are spending that money. So basic education. Every child who walks in our door receives a basic education. But then some students we have identified extra needs. So gifted and talented, special ed, bilingual, at risk, early education, dyslexia. So we get pots of money and we have to make sure we spend those monies based on how the students are identified. So in law, we have to point out to the board that we have allocated a little over $1 million for the at-risk student population. That number may change based on how the students are identified for the upcoming year, but right now that's what we have budgeted for those students. Moving to the Child Nutrition Fund, their revenue, we have the local, which is the money that comes in from student meal sales as well as some adult meal sales. There is a state reimbursement that is a small amount, and then the federal reimbursement, the largest amount there is for every meal that we serve, whether it's full price, reduced, or free, we get some money from the Texas Department of Agriculture. And a monthly reimbursement claim is put in for that, so you see that there. About 25% of our students have been approved for free and reduced meals. This is how they will spend their money on the function level. The bulk of it is food service, and there's a small amount for facilities and maintenance. And by the object code level, so what's different here is you see the biggest bulk of their budget is in supplies, which is the food, and then the payroll and contracted services. This is a graph showing how they have done since 2018, 2019. And so what happened in the fiscal year 21 and 22, there was a waiver due to COVID. And it allowed for every single child to get a free meal. So you see, especially because in 21, the fall of the 2021 school year, we still were inching back into school, so we didn't have full attendance in the fall semester. But in the 21-22 year, we were in school all year long, and you can see that huge increase. The purple line up at the top is the meals served. Every meal was free, so kids were taking advantage of it. Which was a good thing, and our revenue shot up because every meal that we served was reimbursed from the federal government at the free rate. So then you see what happened. The waiver went away for fiscal years 23 and 24. The 23-24 year does not have August in it yet, so those numbers will come up yet because this is just September through May lunches. So to me, this is an interesting graphic to see, and there was a push in Congress to make it nationwide permanent for every student to get a free meal, but it lost traction. Moving to our special ed co-op, for which we're the fiscal agent, the bulk of their money is spent in instruction. I don't have a revenue graph because their revenue is all local. We quarterly bill the three school districts, Lackland, Randolph, and Fort Sam. And so we all transfer money back to us, the fiscal agent, to make all the payments. And then by the object code category, payroll is the bulk of it, but that contracted services grew this past year because of what we're having to do with the paraeducators. So revenue summary, general fund, $30.2 million, the child nutrition fund, a little bit more than $1 million, and the special ed, almost at $3.6 million total revenue. It's a balanced budget, so you see the bottom line total expenditures is the same for each one of those funds. We have some other funds, we get some grants. Our biggest one is the DODEA grant, the 3 R's grant, Rethink, Re-Architect, Renew. That dollar amount is for the 5-year period, $2 million. We get ESSA money, Every Student Succeeds, Title I, Title II, Title IV. Those amounts, especially Title I, went down considerably this year because of congressional action and how the law is written and everything, so that was kind of a big hit for us. We have the LASSO grant, which runs over 2 years, and then there have been 2 safety grants, which I'll be honest, to me was a little frustrating. They do overlap each other. There's cycle 1, cycle 2. What was frustrating is we have to use this money to pay for unfunded safety mandates. So, you know, TEA says you have to do this, but we're not going to give you the money just in general. You're going to have to apply for it and jump through hoops to get this money to pay for these safety mandates that we said every school district has to put in place. Capital projects, we finished the renovation of the Mosley building, which was funded through a Department of Education grant. We will be starting the process then to have all of the buildings here at Cole turned over to our ownership from Department of Ed ownership. At next month's meeting, the Facilities Committee met several times during the 23-24 school year, and we will have a report for the board at next month's board meeting. So our budget, it's aligned with our vision, mission, beliefs. It meets the district and campus goals, meeting the needs of our students. We are glad we are able to provide a salary increase for all all employees, and it is a balanced budget. So we are not recommending that we adopt a deficit budget. There were lots of people involved with the budget process, so thank you to every single one of them. And my final thought, education is simply the soul of a society as it passes from one generation to another. So we want to take care of our society by taking care of educating our kiddos. So, questions from the board?
You know, working with Ms. Novak over the years, this was a kind of a very tight budget, one of the tightest I think I've worked with you on. So, but you know, speaking with other superintendents in Bear County, they didn't realistically. The theme was they didn't want us to give raises because a lot of us they couldn't give raises. So we were very fortunate enough, blessed enough to do that, but it was tight. So I want to personally thank Ms. Novak for really, you know, doing some magic.
Yeah, I mean, we would have liked to have done a bigger pay raise, and some of the districts are adopting deficit budgets, hoping that when the legislature convenes in January that, you know, if the governor gets his vouchers, he's going to release those billions of dollars sitting aside in the Texas surplus right now. But we're waiting to see how all of that's going to look.
Special education.
Yes, sir.
So, if we have an influx more than what we projected, will you have to bring that back to the board, or is there a dollar amount to adjust the budget?
We'll have to see how many kids
How
come
many?
in, and obviously if it is a large amount to where we look like we're gonna have to hire more people than we anticipated, absolutely there would be a budget amendment coming
Okay.
to y'all.
How often do we get to, I guess, revisit that proportion that we're giving, that we're billing to the other districts?
So
Is
it's
that-
billed quarterly.
But I'm saying as far as what they pay, and maybe I'm not understanding, is it a set amount, or you're saying every quarter, the amount that Randolph or Lackland pays to us is different?
It is different because, so how the co-op budget is set up, there are some expenses, and this is through the co-op agreement. Some of the expenses are flat, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So, some of the basic salaries, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. You know, the director's admin assistant, those are 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, because the co-op has to operate. The bulk of the expenses, though, are based on the proportion of students. So there is a student count that's generated every month, and then I, summarize it all for the quarter. So that amount varies, and our amount has varied. When I first came here in 2010, we had 80% of the kids. So for those expenses that are divvied up based on student counts, we were paying 80% of those. It's fluctuated. At one point, we were down, Fort Sam was down to about 60%. We're now back up to about 75% of the students that are served by the co-op. And then Lackland and Randolph, their amounts vary as well.
And it ebbs and flows. When
It
I first got
absolutely
here,
does, yeah.
I remember Mr. Johnson was upset. He was the superintendent of Randolph because they had a high number. Then Lackland, now it's us.
Yeah.
And just
And-
kids
and-
fluctuating
yeah.
in and
And
out.
they see
so.
those counts, and I mean, they get a high needs kid that, moves on to Lackland or Randolph, that's gonna bump up their percentage for that quarter. But yeah, every quarter is different, for those expenses. Good question. And then some expenses, though, are direct billed to the district. So for example, Fort Sam has, through the co-op employs a paraeducator for a student who needs a one-on-one aid. Or Lackland has a student who needs a one-on-one aid. That district is billed direct for the full cost of that particular aid. So yeah, I've got like 6 different categories when I do the quarterly billing that we sort it all out for them.
Thank you.
If I could,
Yes, sir.
a lot of heavy lifting.
It's a group effort, sir.
It's a group effort. And it's always, it's good to hear a balanced budget.
Yes.
In reference to impact aid,
Mhm.
and I love this comment, it said that for the first time, Department of Education history, full payments for the current federal fiscal year 2024 have been made,
Yes,
right? And so we know it's always in the rears.
right.
Are we forecasting that that's going to be the status quo going forward? Or what are you?
That's what they're telling us, so that's why we were real conservative with our impact aid money for the upcoming fiscal year, knowing it's only gonna be for that fiscal year, that they don't owe us any money from prior years. They have a director there who's been there maybe 3 or 4 years now, and she's done an outstanding job of trying to get to where we are today. And even when we were at the Military Impact in Schools Conference, Kyle Fairburn has been in the program much, much longer than I have. And he made the comment at our MISA, he said, this is unheard of for them to be totally caught up. And some of that has to do, though, with the federal government, because, finally we're at the point in the federal fiscal year that, okay, we know how much, they've received all of their money. They finally, passed a continuing resolution that takes them to September 30th. So that's the other thing too. So going forward, it just depends on when Congress passes the full federal year budget, and then how quickly the Department of Ed can get the money out to us. So that's the other part of that.
Yeah, but I think it goes back to the other comment too. Like when we went on the Hill, right? The
Mhm.
staffers, I don't know, it seemed very welcoming,
Mhm.
inviting, supportive, right?
Mhm.
And that's relationship currency, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And so that was huge.
Yeah.
And the second thing, as we project for the impact aid surveys, I'm not sure if those were in attendance to the 502nd SFG commander, Colonel Slack. I know Angela Davis. The auditorium was filled. And so I know that it's a lot of interest when we look at the installation town hall,
Mhm.
because we're gonna have a new command group,
Mhm.
right, from Evans to Driggers to Slack, right? So I think that first movement, we
Mhm.
probably could sell that impact aid
Yeah.
survey.
Yeah.
But again, going to housing for 200 plus, validations is,
There's just a lot of
It's a lot.
apathy out there. There's
Yeah.
a lot of apathy. I mean, we even had, this year for the first time, we had parents sign agreements that, you know, I'm gonna get caught up, and we set out a payment plan for them for the meal accounts. And says, you know, if you don't comply with this agreement, you know, we're gonna take, you know, whatever legal measures we can. These people haven't made a single payment. And I'm talking about an agreement for maybe $300. And so we're just asking for like $75 a month over the next 4 months. That's all we're asking for. And they haven't made a single payment. So the apathy is what's been interesting. So,
Thank you.
yeah, good questions.
Are we able to reach to their leadership when they haven't paid their bills? I know like with childcare,
We haven't
like,
gone that route yet, but that may be our next route.
Well, and then you look at that, how many times have we heard that if we go that route, it's retaliation on our part? We've heard that, so that's kind of where we're at.
So you know, that's a sticky one, because even in healthcare, right, the active duty service member, we can hold them accountable. But for the families that no-shows, which cost the healthcare community millions of dollars, right, of wasted manpower and, you know, supplies, you know, we can't go after the families. But I don't know, it could be something different, but it goes back to retaliation against my family and other things, so I'm not sure how we can do
they
that.
have that hot checklist, you bounce that check in the commissary, you get on that
Yeah.
list, and you can't write them no more, and the whole nine, and that gets reported.
Yeah.
So I don't know
Maybe.
what that
Yeah.
resource would be for us, but that's an outstanding bill,
Yeah.
and our service members, our civilians are expected to pay your bills. So, I don't know what the answer is, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Bates and I had a conversation about, you know, the $9,000 to $10,000 shortage. $10,000 is a lot of money. But what plan can we put into place?
Well, I mean,
That-
between child nutrition and the principals, I mean, they're calling the families 2 or 3 times a month.
Right. When I was in the military, and I hate stating that, I don't like that, so. But when I was in, I remember getting calls from the school district for military people that was in my unit. And all I had to do was get a call, and I always would call them and say, hey, you need to handle this because I don't want to be in it. I don't want nothing to do with it. And then they took care of it every single time. So it's something to think about, calling the units. I mean, it's more work, but, you know, and we're still gonna take care of them.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
They get their regular meal.
Right.
They're
We're still gonna
not
take care
singled
of
out in the line at all.
Right.
They get their regular meal.
A la carte, right?
Well, so what, I mean, they get their regular meal. They are stopped from buying the extras, like,
Extras,
you know,
okay.
ice cream or those kind of things. But they get their full meal, just like, nobody knows that, you know.
And I think there was
the kids
something
in the
out
line.
there on, we're feeding cheese sandwiches.
Oh, that's not true.
No, folks, we're
We
not.
We don't do that.
Everyone getting that
Okay.
same,
They
yes.
get their full meal.
So I'm being transparent, and I asked Dr. Bates, were we giving them peanut butter and jelly
No.
sandwiches?
No.
Hey, I had to ask.
No.
But they're
Yeah,
getting fed,
because-
but they're getting fed
Right.
full, and that's a
Well,
great
well,
thing.
And see, here's the deal with that, is because you can't identify those kids in any way. And so, as the kids are going through the line, the ones who are filling their tray know nothing about that. It's not until you get to the cash register right here that it shows up your money. So that would mean that we would have to basically
Take it.
snatch their tray and
Yeah.
give them something else, and
And you
we
couldn't
don't do
repurpose
that.
it.
We would never do
Yeah.
that. No, we would never do that.
Because, you know, our mindset, you know, and I guess more so at the elementary, it's not that 5,
It's not the
6-year-old's
kids' fault, it's not
fault.
the kids' fault.
So,
Yeah.
we're gonna do what we need to do to protect our kids, so.
Yeah. And what we've seen sometimes though, and we've explained to the parents, is they'll say, well, I put money in my kid's account. Well, the kids are going up and there's money in the account and the kids are buying some extra a la carte things. And so that draws down the balance. So then we tell the parents, hey, you tell us and we will mark your kid as no a la carte sales allowed. And then that way the money that's in the account goes only for the meals. So, because, I mean, you know, kids will be kids, and, oh, let me buy my friend an ice cream, and I get an ice cream. So if the parent tells us, and there's, you know, the parent just put $50 in the account, cover the meals for the next several weeks, we can mark it at parent discretion, no extra sales out of there, so the parent knows it's just going to their meals.
To the meals only.
David, I was just thinking, like, the PTSO, like, have we ever brainstormed parent involvement to this issue where?
We started talking about that in the spring, about, you know,
Yeah.
engaging with them and seeing if they could help
Yeah.
somehow.
Okay.
We hadn't gone there, it was just, in May, we were just kind of brainstorming what can we do, and that came up as one of our options, yes, sir.
So first of all, I'd like to say this is a great, you did a fantastic, you and your staff did a fantastic job on a balanced budget. I like to follow other districts in the state, and I follow them on YouTube, and with their budget, and many districts have deficits. So it's not like what you're doing is easy. I appreciate being able to give the teachers, staffers, a pay raise, because that 2%, 3% pay raise shows them that we stand behind them, and that we're putting our money invested into them versus trying to upgrade, you know, only the district itself, but putting our money into the teachers and to the staff to show their appreciation. So I appreciate it that we have that work in there.
Deal.
So, all right. The time is now 4:57 p.m. Let the record reflect that Ms. Andrea Nicholas is departing from the board at this time. Budget hearing. Agenda item 5, there are no public comments.
For this one, you don't have to sign up.
Correct. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so
Right.
you just, you just
Ask
Right.
ask, yeah, sorry.
So yes, are there any comments from the public? Yes.
I have a comment in relation to impact aid,
Yeah.
just a suggestion. So as a parent that's been very involved everywhere I go to each installation, I really didn't know much about impact aid, although I was involved with PTSO and PTSA, and so, what we did at different schools were, some of the leaders in the school, what they would do is they would have a night. Like maybe 3 weeks before those impact aid forms came out, they would have a night for parents to educate them on what impact aid was. Because a lot of parents didn't know. So I'm just thinking, maybe if they understood why the school district needs the money, and, you know, hey, the reason why Dr. Sarver continued to send out those messages on SMORE saying, hey, we need those forms, is because of this. Because it's basically just going back to the students.
Yeah.
So I think a clear understanding from parents.
And Ms. Shealy in my office has created a flyer that we talked about a whole marketing campaign for it this past year. So she's created a flyer so people understand where that money is being spent. You know, for example, we're one of the few, probably the only school district in Bexar County, so if your child is in band or in athletics, in most school districts, you have to pay a fee. Oh, you wanna be in athletics? Oh, there's a $50 fee. Oh, you wanna be in band? You have to rent your instrument and pay a fee. We don't do that here. So those are some of the things we're gonna be marketing out to our folks so they understand that, you know, and we listen to them. We put the survey online. We know there were a few glitches last year, but we, again, you know, we brainstormed on solving the glitches. But it takes generally less than 5 minutes to click, 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 click. Here, we're done. But look at the benefits that happen by you doing that. So thank you, I appreciate that.
Yep. Do we have any other comments, questions? Everybody's good? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Takira Grady, the teacher at co-op, special education teacher, and I just want to say thank you as well too for giving us something, you know. It's not hard finding special ed teachers, special education, period, especially to work at the co-op. So it's very hard, it's different, but I just want to say thank you for representing the co-op.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have any other comments? from anyone? All right. Agenda item 6, adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. President, I move to adjourn the meeting. Budget meeting.
Meeting is adjourned. It's now 5 p.m. Thank you for the budget hearing. We're gonna take 5 minutes. We can use the restroom and then we'll get started at about 5:05. Use the restroom if you need to.
Would you like to announce that since 4:55 came in and we're still in the budget hearing, if somebody does want to sign up for the regular business meeting?
You just want me to announce it? You want me to tell them now? You give them a chance? While we're not on camera. While we're not on camera, I can. 08 Winans Road, San Antonio, Texas. My name is Willie White, and as board president, I have the pleasure of calling this board to order. This is a meeting of the Board of Trustees being held in front of the public, which is not the same as a public hearing or a meeting for the public. The board and the district appreciate the interest of our constituents and welcome you at all our meetings. However, in our Board of Trustee meetings, only the board members and the members of the administration who provided information to the board should speak during the meeting, except for the portion of the meeting designated for the public input. Should any audience member have questions during the meeting, please do not interrupt the meeting or interject your questions or comments in the middle of the meeting. Instead, please raise your hand for your questions or concerns with an appropriate person and at the conclusion of the meeting so that the board can conduct our regular board business meeting without interruption. Please note that this meeting is being live streamed on YouTube. For this reason, I ask that you please silence your cell phones, and if you must call during the meeting, please quietly step outside. At this time, we're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Dr. Bates, for leading the pledge. Agenda item 2. With 4 of the 5 board members present, I declare we have a quorum. Let the record reflect that the following board members are present. Secretary, Dr. Latoya Sizer. Board member, Colonel Retired Aaron Braxton II. Board member, Miss Andrea Nicholas. Not present, board member, Miss Rebecca Zenate. Agenda item 3. Board Policy BD local set out the requirements for the public comments portion of a meeting. During the regular board meetings, the public comments may address any topic, whether posted on the agenda or not. During special call meetings or work sessions, public comments are limited to the items posted on the agenda only. To participate in the public comment portion of a meeting, members of the public must sign their name on the sign-in sheet no later than 3 minutes before the meeting is scheduled to begin and shall indicate the topic about which they wish to speak. The sign-in sheet will be placed on the podium in the Professional Development Center located at 1908 Winans Road, San Antonio, Texas 78234. If no one has signed up for the public address portion, state that no one has signed up for the agenda item and proceed to the next. Thank you. We have no public comments at this time. Agenda item 4, minutes from the regular business meeting of May 16, 2024. Board members, do we have any comments in reference to this agenda item? Hearing none, do we have a motion for this agenda?
Mr. President, I recommend approving the minutes from the regular business meeting of the Board of Trustees held on May 16, 2024, as submitted.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
I, Latoya Sizer.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
Aye, Aaron Braxton.
Aye, Willie White. Majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item 5 is a closed meeting as authorized by the Texas Government Code Section 551.074, Personnel Matters. The time is now 5:12 p.m. We're moving into closed session. Now, 5. At this time, I would like to ask our superintendent to serve as a temporary chairman in order to conduct the election of the board president.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Are there any nominations for the office of board president?
Yes, I nominate Mr. Willie White remain the board president.
Mr. White is nominated for the office of board president. Are there any other nominations for the office of board president?
I second Mr. White's
Second.
nomination.
Any other nominations? If not, nominations are closed. All in favor of approving election of Mr. White to the position of board president signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
I, Latoya Sizer.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
Aye, Aaron Braxton, second.
Aye, Willie White.
Okay. We have 4 out of 4, majority. Mr. President, I gladly turn over the meeting to you for the nomination elections of your vice president and secretary positions.
Are there any nominations for the office of board vice president? I nominate Colonel Retired Aaron Braxton II for board vice president.
Braxton.
Are there any other nominations for board vice president? Hearing none. Mr. Colonel Retired Aaron Braxton II is nominated for the office of vice president. All in favor of approving Colonel Braxton as vice president, state your name, please.
I, Latoya Sizer.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
I, Willie White.
Aye, Aaron Braxton, second.
So we have 4 out of 4, the majority vote. Colonel Retired Aaron Braxton II is the new board vice president. Are there any nominations for the office of board secretary? I nominate Dr. Latoya Sizer for the board secretary position. Are there any other nominations for board secretary? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the election of Dr. Latoya Sizer to the position of board secretary, signify by stating your name and raising your hand.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
Aye, Aaron Braxton, second.
I, Willie White.
I, Latoya Sizer.
We have 4 out of the 4 votes. Dr. Latoya Sizer is the board secretary. So congratulations to you both. Congrats. Agenda item number 7 is the superintendent's report.
Okay, Mr. President, board members, faculty, staff, family members, welcome. And good afternoon and good evening. I hope everyone has had a relaxing, restful summer. It seems like we're at Trinity graduation, but we're back. So we've got a few reports to give to you. We'll start with Dr. Shanetta. Good evening. You had a comment.
All right, we just completed our new staff induction today. It just ended today, yesterday and today. and Ms. Fuller and her team did an excellent job. I got quite a number of compliments, and they came back the next day. And so we were very excited. So we're excited about this group coming and join our family. So that's always important.
Yeah, sure.
Next, just so you guys know, our staff returns August 1st, and we have our district convocation August 2nd at 8 a.m. And it's all about the power of us as an FSHISD community. And so we will come together and get the year started, and we're excited and ready for them to come back. Next, also, just a reminder, and I told you guys this last year, we have a lot of new curriculum coming in for math and for science, and also, so we will be focusing this year on supporting our teachers and how to use the curriculum. And so it's called curriculum-based professional learning, and they will start that next week. And so hopefully they all come back after experiencing that. No, they will. But we have our instructional coaching team facilitating it, along with about 20 or 22 teacher leader facilitators that we are also supporting. So they will lead the work with us this year. So we will come to you and share the work that we're doing, but our job is to support them in teaching what they need to teach, and that's what we're going to do. So we're very excited. So that's just a little bit about us. We're ready to go.
All right.
Cool. Good deal. Thank you.
Dr. Shanetta. Ms. Fisher, most of you, everyone should know, and audience, Ms. Fisher is our new interim principal at the elementary. Just the little work we've had over the summer, I'm looking forward to great things at the elementary. So Ms. Fisher, welcome. You have the call, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. We have some new events that are coming up. We have a Popping Into Pre-K event that we're going to have on August 6th. It's going to be at 10 in the morning to 11:15. We're inviting the families to bring the pre-K students so they could get a feel for what school's going to be like and have them have that comfort. We also have our Meet the Teacher coming up that we've restructured. We included an hour before everybody comes in. So from 4 to 5, we're inviting all of our parents or families that have students with special needs, sensory concerns, to be able to come in, meet their team of teachers, and that way they're comfortable when there's not so much noise and movement going around. Right after that, from 5 to 6, from 5 to 6:30, we have all other families invited to come and meet their teachers, and we're excited about having all of our students coming back.
And what date is that?
That's August 12th.
August 12th.
Yes.
Back to school.
Back to school.
August 6th is Poppin' Pre-K.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And y'all have that on your newsletters, correct?
It is on our newsletter. Both events are on our newsletter. Mm-hmm.
Is it? Were you done?
Yes.
Oh, well, I just want to, say congratulations as becoming the interim principal at our elementary school, and we're looking for some great things from you, and let's get it going.
That's right. I look forward to an awesome school year.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Dr. Sarna. And thank you for lunch today. Appreciate it.
All right, good evening. Good to see everybody again.
Cool.
It's been, since May, right? We had class of 24 wrapping up. Now we're looking at class of 25. It happens quick, so appreciate all the support we get from you guys. Thank you very much. So things that have been going on, and then what's coming up here at Cole. So June 9th, we sent a group of students. This is some of our male students went to Boys State, up in Austin, I believe it was. They had actually had Aaron Braxton, Ethan Paul, Jason Longinos, Bryson Stark, and Jackson Freds all went up there first week of June. And then second week, or close to the third week of June, we had the girls go up to Girls State. Annabelle Evans, Lyrium Rios Rosa, Deborah Garza, and Ariana Turner. Outstanding students to get to go spend some time learning about, just being immersed in leadership. And that's what they to come back and share with us too. And what I like is when you hear these names, they're a part of everything. So you want to get the full experience at a school, academic, extracurricular, and these students represent all those groups. So I'm sure they did well wherever they, during that time they spent with their groups. Registration is going on now at Cole, so we are registering families one-on-one. We do that with our counselors per family so they can build schedules. All the returning students don't have to do that, so we can manage one-on-one right now. So we get to bring in the family, meet them, sometimes give them a tour of the school if they request. And we've been giving tours throughout the whole summer. Families are really excited. They want school to start, but it's nice having the families out here in the summer who PCS'd over, and you can see the cars driving by, or they'll come up in the parking lot. If we're there, we always want to greet and talk with them. So it's nice seeing them getting closer to the start of school. We also have prep days, August 5th, 6th, 8th. That's for students. If they want to make a change to their schedule, they come schedule a time with the counselor, and they can look at any schedule changes that they need to take care of. It's 3 days, but we have to take care of all 7 grade levels and all 780 students in those days. So it always works. The counselors take care of that. 6th grade orientation. This is for our incoming 6th graders, new or even coming from the elementary. We do that on August 8th at 4 o'clock. So the families will come and meet with us in the cafeteria, and we go over what's new, what to expect here at Cole. And then New Kids Camp is August 12th. If you're new to Cole, meaning you're not returning from last year, you're a new family, we invite you out to work with our S2S and counselors, and Dr. Nellums leads the S2S, and they give those new students a preview to the school. So they get to walk with other students and tour the campus, learn a little bit about some of our traditions and expectations, but what's beautiful about it, student to student.
Student to student.
And that's all we have.
Cool.
Can you repeat what you said was happening on the 8th of August at 4?
August 8th at 4 p.m. is the 6th grade orientation. That's for students and parents. They'll meet us in the cafeteria, and we'll get 100+ people in there. It's going to get pretty full.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Dr. Sultan is currently in DC. She was actually presenting at the MSEC conference, but she wanted me to relay to the board. Basically, we're trying to hire paraeducators and special ed staff. Ms. Novak, you just gave, you don't need any. Yes. Technology, Ms. Marquez delivered a healthy baby boy. I called her last week. She didn't seem so perky because she was putting the baby to bed. So, but I think baby, her doing fine. Anything else I'm missing?
Just that we are giving out Chromebooks on those prep days with the students, so we're re-upping on our one-to-one Chromebook initiative. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade will all get new Chromebooks, thanks to all of you for that support, and we're looking forward to rolling through with another strong school year with our technology initiatives.
Very good. Thank you.
And that's brand new.
Brand new,
Chromebook.
yes sir. Brand new out of the box, yes sir.
Good deal.
Thank you, Mr. Tolbert.
Thank you.
Coach Norman,
Sir.
you're the calm, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Glad to see everybody back. Just a couple updates from athletics. Our coaches reported back last Thursday. They're hard at work getting everything ready for this coming season. Our volleyball boot camp is going on. Started Monday. Girls are out there working hard. That ends tomorrow night. Football and volleyball, first official day per UIL is Monday. So football kicks off first thing at 6 in the morning, and volleyball will go after school that day. So we're back in it. August 8th, to kind of piggyback on Dr. Cerna, we're having our middle school parent information night for athletics at 6 p.m. so that we have these 6th grade parents here for orientation, and we'll be able to just get them to the gym and kind of give them the outline, weight training program, things we're doing in athletics. And then just to follow up on some things that we brought up in the spring that we were doing in athletics, along with facilities, thank you to the board, Dr. Bates, Ms. Novak's been a huge help, like knocking on her door every day, asking for something, but we did get our stadium updated, our sound system. Sounds amazing. When Luther Johnson texts you while you're testing it, happy about it, you know you're doing something. So it's an experience now. I mean, it's really going to be something when you guys are there on that first Friday night to experience that.
You want to go into that just a little bit, and I'll, I guess, follow up with that. For the first
football game?
That is
August 30th.
Labor Day weekend, that Friday.
Versus Memorial, we'll be introducing the board and the cabinet, I guess, to the community. So that'll be our first test of the new system. Let them get to see that and hear that across the post. So we're excited about that celebration. New weight room. I know some of you saw, I know Colonel Braxton, we saw it when we were in the Mosley, touring the Mosley, the open space up there. We have a new weight room going in. ETA on that is next week sometime. So that'll be in, ready to go for the kids. And then finally, our updated sound system in the cold gym. The target date of that is going to be August 30th. So by the end of this month, we're looking at having all of our facilities updated, ready to go, so our student athletes will be having some success in those new facilities and upgraded facilities.
Cool.
And that's all I have for you. Any questions?
All right. Listen.
Thank you very
All
much.
right.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time. Yes, sir.
Okay, and the last thing on my report, I want to follow up with public comments. We had a parent come in May. She addressed some special ed concerns. Dr. Shanetta, Dr. Sultan met with that parent, and I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Shanetta, both sides, it was a win-win. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of the things that was suggested was with our special ed parents having that hour by themselves, so it won't be so overwhelming for all of our parents. So thank you, Ms. Fisher, for helping to get that started. So folks, we do listen to our public. We want to have that conversation and dialogue with our community so we can, you know, it takes a village. And so I think, well, like I said, both sides was a win-win on that conversation. And Mr. President, board members, that's my report for the month of July.
All right, thank you, Dr. Babes. Agenda item 8 is Board of Trustee comments. At this time, board members, do you have any comments you wish to share, comment on, or questions?
Ready to get the school year started.
Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item correction? There are no comments. Agenda item number 9, the 2024-2025 official school budget. Superintendent recommend approving the 2024-2025 official school budget as presented. Any questions? Any comments from the board? Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I recommend approving the 2024-2025 official school budget as presented.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
I, Andrea Nicholas.
Aaron Bryson, second.
I was raised.
I, Willie White. Majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item 10 is to consider and take possible action regarding a proposed compensation plan for the 2024-2025 school year. Board members, any comments, questions, concerns?
I think we addressed it in the budget.
Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I recommend approving the proposed compensation plan for the 2024-2025 school year.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
I, Latoya Sizer.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
Aaron Bryson, second.
I, Willie White. The majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item 11 is the status report for the Robert G. Cole High School senior class of 2024. This is information only, no action needed.
Ms. Garza, good evening.
Good evening.
You have the call, ma'am.
Thank you guys for having me. And thank you to Dr. Bates for allowing me to come and talk about the class of 24. Before starting off, I want to tell you guys the class of 24 was an exceptional class.
Yes,
It was the biggest class that we've ever had at Cole, with 118 students, and it was the largest amount of scholarship money that we've ever had at
Cool.
Cole. So they were definitely an exceptional class, and we look forward to hopefully hearing more about how their successes post-secondary. So the superintendent's report that I turned in to Dr. Bates and into the board members, we had 119 students graduate last year, and we had 73% of them reported that they are going to a four-year college or university, and so that's what we average every year is about 75% of our seniors going. I did break it down a little bit because a little bit further into students going out of state or staying within the state of Texas. I thought that that was a little interesting, especially since our population is basically from around the world, and so they usually go back to where they call home to go to school, to go to college. And so our out of state graduates was 40%, and so and that is up from the class of 23. And so we had 59% of them staying in the state of Texas for school, and a lot of them are staying local. So they're taking advantage of the promise programs that we have, being a Bexar County graduate, and so we have seen an increase in that for the students that are staying within the state of Texas. We did have 12% of them attending a 2-year university, which is down a little bit, and 3% of them are attending a technical school or a trade school after. And then we had 2% of them, 3 students, going enlisting into the military, and then we saw a slight increase in our students that are seeking full-time employment after high school at 7%.
7%?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. So as far as scholarship information goes, we the class of 24 they were awarded over 155 scholarships in total that they reported back to us, so that we are depending on the students reporting back to our campus about what they have been awarded, because institutions and organizations, they contact the students directly. So we encourage them to bring back that information so that we can report it as a campus and as a district. Most of our scholarship money, or the kids' scholarship money, comes from the institutions that they apply to. So a lot of colleges and universities are upping their scholarship money, so that students will be more enticed to attend. And so that is a trend in higher education, because the trends are maybe college isn't for everybody, and so if they can get it paid for, then they're more likely to attend and go. We did have a big increase in our ROTC scholarships from last year, and so as students, we had 10 of them for the class of 24, which is the largest that we've ever had. So that was really good. And that's a thanks to our ROTC program, to Pearl Elliott, for pushing out that information to the students that are already participating in that program. We work really closely together to make sure the students know the benefits of that and those opportunities that we had. We also had 9 academy and military schools acceptances last year. So we had 4 West Point acceptances. So 2 of them are going to the actual academy, 2 of them are going to the prep school. We had 2 Air Force Academy appointments and 1 Citadel appointment acceptance, and then we had 2 students going to Norwich University. And for the class of 24, they received over $11 million in scholarship money. So, and that's all I had. That was my report.
Ms. Garson, I really want to once again thank you and your team. I mean, that shows a lot of due diligence on counselors, meeting with those students on a regular basis, and I'm sure their families as well.
Yes.
I know that's a task, a hard task to do, because they've got to actually put in the work to get these scholarships. So,
that is true.
but I think counselors have to kind of keep following up with those parents and students. So thank you.
Yes.
And Dr. Bates, we went back as far as I go back into 20 years. This is the largest amount of scholarship money that we have ever received.
So it is the largest.
It is the largest. As far as back as I could go with this also, and I went back to 20, it is the largest, so very impressive.
Yeah. And I think that comes to a testament to the board and Dr. Bates and Dr. Schneider getting us that extra counselor this past year, which allows me extra time to be able to do this work and make sure that all of our kids get all the opportunities they deserve.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 12, to consider and take possible action regarding approval of the proposed board resolution continuing the incentive for early notice of resignation. Board members, any comments, concerns? Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I make a motion to recommend that we adopt the proposed board resolution to continue the incentive for early notice of resignation.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye, Aaron Brightson, second.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
I, Latoya Sizer.
Aye, Willie White. The majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item 13 is a monthly financial report for May and June 2024. Questions, comments, board members? And you can see the two, June, because we didn't have the June board. Yeah. Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I make a motion that I recommend that we approve the monthly financial report for May and June 2024 as submitted.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye, Aaron Brightson, second.
I, Latoya Sizer.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
Aye, Willie White. Majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item 14 is the quarterly investment report for the period March the 1st, 2024 to May 31st, 2024. Again, board members, any questions, comments? Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I move to approve the quarterly investment report for the period March 1, 2024 to May 31, 2024 as submitted.
Second.
I second.
All in favor?
I, Latoya Sizer.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
Aye, Aaron Brightson, second.
Aye, Willie White. Majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item number 15 is to consider and take possible action regarding approval of the final payment application from the Jackson Construction Company Incorporated for the Mosley Building Renovation Project.
I know that there was a question about, some follow-ups after, that's been all taken care of. Yes, sir. That we would give them the last check if it wasn't complete.
Painting,
but
you
yes.
talking about the painting and all that?
Yes, sir.
Edging and all that.
Yes, sir.
Board members, any other, comments, questions? Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I move to approve the contracting for services with the Education Service Center Region 20.
No.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
15.
Okay. All right, go back.
I don't need that.
Okay, Mr. President, I move to approve the final payment application from Jackson Construction Company Incorporated for the Mosley Building Renovation Project as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I, Latoya Sizer.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
Aye, Aaron Brightson, second.
Aye, Willie White. Majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item number 16 is a contracting for services with Education Service Center Region 20 for the 2024-2025 school year.
This is an annual service that we do with them every year, the commitments, the services they provide for our district, so that's where we're at, so.
Any comments, questions, board members? Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I recommend we approve the contract for services with the Educational Service Center Region 20 for the 2024-2025 school year as submitted.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye, Aaron Brightson, second.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
I, Latoya Sizer.
Aye, Willie White. Majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item 17 is to consider possible action to approve additional staff positions. Position.
Yes, sir.
Comments? Everybody tracking?
And this is at the elementary. As you looked in your, yes, special ed teacher.
Yeah.
You look at the data, and y'all have kind of seen, we've heard reports throughout the year, it's increasing significantly. As Ms. Novak says, we spent over $1 million in contracted services, and so we really desperately need that teacher.
Cool. Do we have a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I recommend approving the creation of the following additional staff position at Fort Sam Houston Elementary School, special education teacher.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I, Andrea Nicholas.
I, Latoya Sizer.
Aye, Aaron Bryson, second.
Aye, Willie White. The majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item 18 is the proposed additions to the Fort Sam Houston ISD UIL course exemption list for the 2024-2025 school year.
Yes, we do this every year. It was a memo to Dr. Bates for you guys to view. We update the courses with Cole, with Dr. Cerna's team, and so in there you'll see the explanation for the UIL exemption list, and then you'll see the current courses that can be exempt. So we do this every year.
Yep.
So I'm just responsible for working with him to update, and then we go from there.
Board members, any questions, comments? Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I recommend approving the proposed additions to the Fort Sam Houston ISD UIL course exemption list for the 2024-2025 school year as submitted.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
I, Latoya Sizer.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
Aye, Aaron Bryson, second.
Aye, Willie White. Majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item 19 is a request for expedited waiver from the Texas Education Agency for staff development. We got any
So it's something that we do every year. We have required waivers for TEA, and so this is just staff development. You hear me say professional learning, professional development, and so it's the same thing. So when we have those district professional development days that we're gonna be focused on curriculum, it's the waiver for those minutes, and so we have to do this. And then we file it, it comes out of my office, and Lori oversees that piece. So we will, if you approve, we will submit.
Cool. Board members, any questions, comments? Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I recommend approving the staff development minutes waiver as submitted.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye, Aaron Bryson, second.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
I, Latoya Sizer.
Aye, Willie White. The majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item 20 is a request for a waiver from the Texas Education Agency limiting the number of foreign exchange students admitted to the Fort Sam Houston ISD as per Texas Education Code TEC 25.001E.
So this is another waiver that TEA allows school districts to do, and what it does is, this waiver will be good for the next 3 years. And it's basically allows the district to limit the number of foreign exchange students to a number that is 5 or less per high school under a Texas Education Code. And so I don't even think we had one last year. They're so far and few.
Yeah.
But sometimes they do come through.
I think we've had one since I've
Yeah,
been
maybe,
here.
yeah. And so, but we also have to make sure that we can service our kids. And so this is just in case, I guess, it's a just in case waiver.
Mm-hmm. Any questions, board members? Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I move to approve the foreign exchange student waiver, limiting the number of foreign exchange students admitted to Fort Sam Houston ISD as per Texas Education Code TEC 25.001 as submitted.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
I, Latoya Sizer.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
Aye, Aaron Bryson, second.
Aye, Willie White. Majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item 21, it's a 2024-2025 Fort Sam Houston ISD Student Code of Conduct. Got any comments on it?
Of course.
Of course.
So it's not a legislative year, so that's a positive thing. So there are very few changes. The board is required to approve the student code of conduct every year. And so TASB, which we're a member of, will give us a model student handbook. And so what I do is I go through it, I have principals go through it, and we make changes. And so there's very few. There are quite a number, there's an increase in resources for parents in a lot of the areas that I think is a positive in this handbook. Also under House Bill 900, which has to do with library materials with the new standards, that is also in this handbook, in this code of conduct, but I'm gonna go more into detail into this and update 123 with you.
Okay.
But there really weren't many changes, but after next year.
Because next year's a legislative year.
Yeah, so it's just really, a lot of resources, the changes are minimal, just because it wasn't a legislative year. So nothing that stood out to me to
Nothing stood out.
highlight to you guys, I mean, you guys have access to it.
Right, absolutely.
But as always, I'm always available for questions. So if this is approved, then we'll put it up, and then we'll release the student handbook and the employee handbook. That's kind of how we do it.
Mhm.
And when you present it to the public, you don't identify what changes have taken place, or updates, or do you highlight updates?
We do not, so we put it up on the website. We also have hand copies, and parents are supposed to read it. But we don't go through the updates, and they're all in there, but we do not do that.
Any other comments, board members? Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I move to approve the 2024-2025 student code of conduct as submitted.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
I, Latoya Sizer.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
Aaron Rice, second.
I, Willie White. Majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item number 22 is the T-test alternate appraisers.
Yes, so we do this every year.
Yep.
And so T-test is our teacher evaluation tool that
Mhm.
we have adopted through the state. And we have alternate appraisers. So in case a teacher wants to request another appraiser, we'll have a list and we'll start at the top and we'll go down. And so that, they're all certified in T-test. And if you notice from the list, there are administrators that already do T-test. So that's something we are required to do every year.
Board members, do we have any questions, comments? Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I recommend approving the list of T-test alternate appraisers for the 2024-2025 school year as submitted.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aaron Rice, second.
I, Latoya Sizer.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
I, Willie White. Majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item 23, the 2024-2025 Fort Sam Houston ISD Student Reasonable Use Agreements for the Technology Resources.
This is, we do every year for our students, just that use agreement with our technology, with those brand new
I'm gonna
Chromebooks.
say now we got new Chromebooks.
We do it too.
The agreement is the same, it doesn't change.
No, no, ma'am.
Changes to it.
Any other comments, board members? Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I move to approve the 2024-2025 Fort Sam Houston ISD Student Responsible Use Agreement for Technology Resources as submitted.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
I, Latoya Sizer.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
Aaron Rice, second.
I, Willie White. The majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item 24 is discussion regarding homeschool students and University Interscholastic League, UIL, participation. There's no action needed, discussion only.
Okay, folks, basically it was transpired, I had a parent reach out to myself, Dr. Schnetta, Coach Norman, about the possibility of homeschool students participating in our extracurricular activities. In 2021, House Bill 547 provided an option for school districts to allow homeschool students to participate in extracurricular activities during that time. The bill does not require board action, and the topic of choosing to not allow homeschool students to participate action is required. In 2021, we placed this item on our agenda. We didn't have to, but we could have done it from administrative, but for transparency purposes, we wanted to put that out there to the board to give them an opportunity to get sentiments of how they felt about it. Met with this parent, was it April, May, told her that I would bring it back to the board, see what they say. If this is something that we want to take action on, we'll put it on August board meeting. Long dialogue with Coach Norman, Dr. Cerna. We still are against that for several reasons. It's just, there's not a lot of oversight in terms of homeschool students participating in extracurricular activities, in terms of grades. Our coaches check grades with our athletes once a week, I believe, Coach. I don't know grade-wise what's going on in homeschool. We have a late game coming back Tuesday night, 12:30 from a ball game. Our kids here, they're going to have to, regardless, be here at 7 o'clock, 7:30, regular school, brick and mortar. Homeschool students, I don't know. They may be able to sleep in. I don't know. And as a parent, I kind of thought about this from a parent's point of view. I get that. And I guess my question I would ask, you want your kids to participate in our extracurricular activities, but you don't want them, what's the reason why you don't want them here at school? I guess that would be the bigger question. And then I guess it came down to me, as a parent, if my kid is coming here every day, Monday through Friday, 6 o'clock football practice, then on top of that, I have classes to go to every day, and you may have a homeschool student coming in at 2:30 for athletic purposes, and this is I would have a problem if that homeschool kid's having a little more playing time than my own kid. That's just Gary Bates. We did a little more research because I just didn't want to go on my feelings. Spoke with, put this out there to all the superintendents in Bexar County. None of them allow homeschool students to participate in extracurricular activities. As you look on your sheet, these are the schools as of this year in the state of Texas, 32 out of 1,000. 1,012 something districts in the state
1,200 districts and charters
that are allowing homeschool students to participate in UIL curricular activities. If you look at the list and look at the school districts, folks, most of them are rural districts off in nowhere, not saying nowhere, but just isolated from possibly a metropolitan because they need those students to have those numbers to participate. Parent did bring up that there is funding for those students, homeschool students. It's not ADA, just extracurricular activities. Also, if let's say we had a fluctuation of homeschool students, if this was allowed, it's not going. One of the concerns was, well, we may go from a 3A to a 4A, vice versa. That won't happen. Homeschool students would not up your classification. So that's kind of where we're at. The only school that allows homeschool students to participate in their activities is Greater Hearts here in San Antonio, but none of the districts here in the Bexar County does not allow that, and that's kind of where we're at on that. But like I said, if the board feels differently about this, we can put this back on the agenda for August, but please understand, board members, if we're opening this box, if this is something that we're going to consider, we're not going to be able to shut this box, because I've had parents reach out, homeschool students, parents reach out to me wanting students to walk with the graduating class, go to extra prom, homecoming. So this is just the kind of the top tip of the iceberg. If we open this door, it could lead to other boxes that will be open, and then we will not be able to shut that because we've allowed it. So, like I said, I'm not trying to bring doom and gloom, but those are things that we have to consider, for that. So, that's all I have. Coach, do you have anything else to add with that?
No, sir.
So,
So just so we're clear, board members, this is discussion only. However, if you wish to bring it on an agenda item, you may place it on the agenda for next month. If you have concerns, questions, you know.
or for an action.
Or for an action. All right? So you have that opportunity.
I appreciate the, work that went into trying to look at, every other option, right, to support the child, right? They still gotta do state requirements, they still gotta do certain things, right? If we was in that COVID environment at that time, right, I know some concerns, some sensitivity to, that environment at one point, but at this juncture. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And the panel was very, very, we had a great dialogue, but I told her I would bring it before the board and discussion and go forward from there, so.
Any idea how many, kids are homeschooled? This is a military family, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Any idea?
Ms. Black, I don't have the exact numbers, do you? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
It's fine. Yeah, no, I don't have, an exact number either. We just connected with the Fort Sam group. There's so many different groups. But on Fort Sam, I think there was I'm tracking on about 45, kiddos, but that's from kindergarten up to 12.
And that's just Fort Sam?
Just Fort Sam, yeah. And again, I can't put quite on that. We just started a partnership, so.
Are you saying 45 families or 45
Kids.
students?
Students.
Coach Norman and I had a dialogue today about this, because we knew we were gonna take this before the board, and thank you for the knowledge. You think about a lot of the, homeschool kids that would wanna compete in extracurricular activities, they're not gonna wanna, it's not gonna be football, maybe basketball, maybe not, but a lot of tennis, swimming, possibly golf, maybe. And, we're struggling to kind of find facilities for those programs as is. So that's something cognizant we kind of put into consideration as well.
So correct me if I'm wrong, so for our homeschool kids, we do not receive ADA funding, correct?
No ADA.
No ADA.
But you would receive, an athletic type of, stipend, and I guess that would be for, uniforms, things of that nature.
Okay. Tracking. Any other comments, board members, questions? Okay. Agenda item number 25. Thank you, Dr. Bates.
Yes.
The annual resolution regarding the hazardous traffic conditions for the Joint Base San Antonio, Fort Sam Houston students within the 2-mile radius of the school district.
This is annual sidewalks. Thank you, Coach. Yes, I'm sorry. With the 2-mile radius since of the sidewalks, I've been there, so that's why we do this, resolution.
Questions? Board members? Any questions regarding? Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I move to adopt the annual resolution regarding hazardous traffic conditions for Joint Base San Antonio, Fort Sam Houston students within the 2-mile radius of district schools as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I, Latoya Sizer.
Aaron Bronson, second.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
Aye, Willie White. Majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item 26 is a resolution regarding the extracurricular status of the Barrett County 4-H organization. Board members? Do we need to hear anything? Any questions?
Something we do
Everybody's track. It's every year.
We really have no idea as of yet of what children are in that aspect, Sherman. They just don't, if you don't know that, they have to come to you and say, I'm in this, and then the attendance and all
is this in conjunction with child and youth programs? Cause they offer 4-H programs.
I don't believe so.
No,
This allows, so if a kid is absent for a 4-H event, it would count the same as if they're absent for volleyball.
Volleyball, yeah, they're not gonna count against that absence.
Yeah. So it allows them to participate that without holding it against them for absences.
Cool. Thank you. Any other questions, comments, board members? Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I recommend adopting the resolution regarding the extracurricular status of the Bear County 4-H organization as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I, Andrea Nicholas.
I, Latoya Sizer.
Aaron Bryson.
I, Willie White, the majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item 27 is consideration and possible action to approve the adjunct faculty agreement with the Texas A&M Argon Life Extension Service. What is the number?
Yes, approving an adjunct.
Okay. Board members, any comments, any explanation of that? Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I move to approve the adjunct faculty agreement with the Texas AgriLife Extension Service as submitted.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
I, Latoya Sizer.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
Aaron Bryson, second.
I, Willie White, majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item number 28 is the memorandum of understanding MOU with the Berry County Juvenile Board for the 2024-2025 school year. It's another annual. Any comments or questions, board members? Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I recommend approving the MOU with the Bear County Juvenile Board for the 2024-2025 school year submitted.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
I, Aaron Bryson, second.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
I, Latoya Sizer.
I, Willie White. The majority vote, the motion passes. All right, I'm gonna pull these sheets out here. Agenda item 29 is the board member training opportunities for the 2024-2025 school year. Dr. Bates, what you got?
These are the trainings that will be taking place through this school year, throughout the school year. You know, Ms. Timmons is very diligent. She, you know, wanted to get our hotels and flights and training schedules for that. So we said that in May that we were gonna bring this to June. We didn't have a June board meeting, so we really need to kind of get on this so we can start making arrangements, because the next visit is around to DC, and the Tassatasby's back to back. DC's that first week, middle of the week, and then we come back, then we're back for Tassatasby. And it, luckily, it's here in San Antonio versus Dallas, so.
So at this time, any board members available or wishing to attend the NAPIS training, 22 September through 24 September? Anyone available?
I'm available. I did go in March, so if no one wants to go in September, I will defer. If no one wants to go, I will go.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Novak, the March visits to DC, they're not on our spring break. So our spring break is the week after. So that may have a bearing if you have kids or vacationing, things of that nature.
So just to reiterate, September 22 through September 24, that would be the NAPIS conference, and then right behind that, September 27th through the 29th would be the TASB. So there's like 2 different meetings. I will attend the NAPIS meeting along with Dr. Sizer.
Before September.
For September, yes. September 24th. There you go, Ms. T. We'll move, so we have September 27th through September 29th, the Team of 6 and Executive Cabinet, the TASB Conference will be located here in San Antonio. Do we foresee anyone not being able to? Because again, and I know we're gonna be, I don't have an answer for one, you know. So as of now, everyone will be able to attend, right? Okay. We can get a follow-up with Colonel Zanetta. All right, that's all we need to cover. I guess I have to do this. Okay, Dr. Bates was speaking of it earlier. One last training we're looking at, it's a NAPIS conference for this spring, March the 9th through March 11, 2025. It's back in DC again. I know it's a little far out, but if anyone now knows they want to attend.
Yeah, I'm definitely. Since it's not gonna be on spring break. No, I'm kidding.
Because it's always on spring
Yeah, I know.
break.
That's what I'm talking.
I would like to be considered.
So, track it. All right.
Now, I know we talked about this previously. If a board member, and I know we have a new board member that's not present, if someone really wanted to go, right? Because again, these are good educational moments, right? You know, I know that that's something that can be considered. I know we put 2 down, but I know in the past that, you know, we considered additional, so.
Absolutely, and we'll find out from Colonel Zanate. I like to attend also when we have a new board member also. So yeah, we'll be able to adjust fire with her if she wishes to attend or is available to attend. We'll be able to adjust fire.
Oh, as far as the third one?
Yeah.
Is that
Well,
what you're
the
saying?
adjust fire would be I will pull myself.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
so it would still be budgeting for 2?
Yeah, just could be budgeting for
yeah,
2.
okay, got
I was just filling in.
it, yeah.
But if we had to.
You see that eye on that?
I did.
I know we had a
was
balanced
feeling
budget.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Okay.
All right. So that's where we stand with that there. All right, so. All right.
The National School Board Association, we do that every other year, so it's myself, Dr. Sizer, Ms. Nicholas, we won't go this year. We do that every other year.
Mhm.
And then we go back, next June, Lord's will, we'll be all back at the TASB here in San Antonio. And then, the last one is the Texas Caucus of Black School Board Members Education Summit. I think that's something y'all
Mhm.
regularly attend.
The dates, they didn't have the dates as of yet for that. Okay. All right. Unless there's any other questions, that would take care of that training. Board members, do we have a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I move to approve the attendees for each training opportunity as discussed.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
I, Latoya Sizer.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
Aaron Braxton, second.
Aye, Willie White, majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item 30 is consider take possible action to designate a delegate and an alternate for the 2024 Texas Association of Schools Board TASB Delegate Assembly. You had any member wishing to be a I think we all have done delegates, right? Before, have you done delegate? Are you available? You good attending? You said you available?
I'm
Also?
available,
No,
right?
I thought. you
Oh,
said
okay,
you
yeah, I
was-
know, I was looking for
you
an
done-
alternate. So you available?
I can be available, yes.
So Colonel Braxton is gonna be the primary, and you're saying that you would do the alternate?
Yes,
Okay.
wait. Okay, we're good. Saturday the 20th.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be on the 28th. All right. And again, if something falls through, you know, I will be attentive. I'll be there. Okay, good deal.
It's local, baby.
I saw that look. Do we have a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I recommend approving the delegate and the alternate for the 2024 Chapter Delegate Assembly on Saturday, September 28th. I will be the primary, and Ms. Nichols will be the alternate.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
I, Aaron Braxton, second.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
I, Latoya Sizer.
I, Willie White. The majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item 31 is the legal services retainer agreement and fee schedule for Walsh Gallegos, Trevino, Kyle, Robinson. Board members, questions, comments, concerns?
They've been good to us, right? Real fast.
Yes.
Year, so.
They, yeah, they have,
Yeah, and I saw when we went to the TASB, they're one of the sponsors. So they're very well.
They have an excellent reputation.
They're one of the best in the state.
And beyond the state.
Yes.
They have offices in New Mexico and other states.
All right, any other comments? Hearing none, is there a motion for this agenda item?
Mr. President, I move to approve the legal services retainer agreement and fee schedule for Walsh Gallegos, Trevino, Kyle, and Robinson PCS.
Is there a second?
Mr. President, question.
Yep.
In reference to, we approving the legal services agreement with Walsh Gallegos, not the attorney specifically, it is the firm.
It's the firm, the entire firm, yes.
Because we deal with multiple attorneys
That's
depending on
what you
what
say.
the issue
It
is.
can change up.
Not just with Jenny or Elvin,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
anyone.
Yeah,
in
there's a
that
different
firm.
one for
Yes.
construction.
Yes, sir.
Is there a motion for this agenda item?
Oh, I did the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
correct.
we need a second.
A second.
Who's, all in favor?
I, Latoya Sizer.
I, Aaron Braxton, second.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
I, Willie White. Majority vote, the motion passes. Agenda item 32 is a TASB initiated policy update 123.
Hey, we all
Oh.
awake?
Oh, yeah, we here.
All right, update 123. In the memo, it includes changes in recent administrative rules and Commissioner of Ed rulings. Several policies have been updated to better align with these changes in organization and restructuring purposes. So the following topics, and what I'm gonna do is just go quickly and highlight some things, because I know you guys have looked at them. There are a few ones that I wanna make you aware of, so I'll just go through them quickly, and just please stop me at any of them, okay, because there's quite a number of them. So we'll start with BBD, local board members training and orientation. What this has to do with is that, if we, stapled my pages wrong, believe it or not, okay, Mina. If we, it has to do with, I'm sorry. Yeah, here it is. House Bill 3033 authorized the Attorney General to require trustees to complete training on the Public Information Act if the Attorney General finds that there has been a violation of the act. So, of course, that would be handed down from the Attorney General if he violated, the Public Information Act, and then the board would be required to go to training. And that is something new. Okay, so I wanted to make you aware of that. section about a notice regarding violent activity that has to be recommended to comply with legal requirements. So it's nothing out of the ordinary, it's just been replaced. So that's CKC. CKEC local is Security Personnel School Resource Officers. And so what they did was they made significant revisions to the CKE policy series to promote compliance and clarification in regards to the House Bill 3 safety and other legal requirements. So they just made some revisions to that and to clarify that the district has agreements with multiple, you can have agreements with multiple law enforcements and so on and so on. So that was a replacement. CQC local, which is the technology resources equipment. They added a new local policy to meet the legal requirement for the board to adopt a policy for effective integration of digital devices in the district. And we have that. We integrate our stuff, so we're okay on that. Tori signed off on that. And then the other one is employment practices, other type of contracts. The policy has been revised to state non-Chapter 21 contracts will be provided to positions that we have listed in our local policy, and revisions at termination during contract term are recommended. So it just replaced it to clarify. Nothing major there. And then, so that was DCE local. DGBAA, and that is extensive revisions concerning personnel management relations, employee complaints and grievances. So it just made revisions within the CKE policy to update and cross-reference about complaints. This one was new for me, EEH local, which was instructional arrangements, homebound instruction. So now students may now receive homebound services for psychological as well as medical conditions. So whereas before it was strictly medical.
No, you're right.
You know, and so now because of what's going on with the SEL of kids and so on and so on. And so this was new, so I made sure everybody knew about that. Because parents will reach out to campuses that they need homebound for their children, so they need to know that. So that was new. And then the ones about EF local on instructional resources. So what that talks about is they deleted it and updated it because of instructional resources with instructional materials. So EFA local and EFB local, they both deal with instructional resources, but one is focused on instructional materials. So like textbooks for a class for Algebra 1, okay? And then EFB talks about instructional resources for library materials. And that's the one I wanted to mention to you, is that with House Bill 900, we have new library standards that are already in effect, right? And so we are putting in a process, Ms. Fuller is working with our two library medias, Ms. Warden and Ms. Mitna, and what we're doing is we're making sure that all of our procedures for reconsideration are in place, that they're on the board and easily on the website and easily accessible. And so it goes through the procedures. So like if a parent wanted to reconsider a book that's in the library, there is an entire procedure for that, okay? They can do the same thing for an instructional resource. Like we adopt a science textbook, McGraw-Hill. Let's just say that a parent would want to reconsider a piece of it. There is a process in place for them to do that. And also under EFA local, it now permits an employee or parent or guardian to submit these requests, whereas before it was very explicit about who could. Now they've widened it. So, and here's the thing, parents should and do have access to everything, but there is a formal process to reconsider. Who is on the committee, you guys read it all, so it's in there, but this is new for us.
Yes, it is.
Okay, and so we're working and we'll be ready to go day one of when students return. We've been working on it all summer. We knew this was coming. We just wanted it in the formal update 123.
I was wondering what was coming to you.
Yeah, it's
To be
coming.
honest.
And how do we, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
how do we ensure the teachers are aware of it, like the English teacher, like
Yes.
the library? Like
Yes, so we've been working with them already, so I went to all the PLCs, me and Ms. Fuller, and we talked about what they need to do, and I'll give you an example. Classroom libraries. You know, back in the day when I was an English teacher, I had all these books that I got from garage sales and from all kinds of places in our phone, because if they had time, I wanted them to read, right? Well, now, under these new policies, the teachers have to basically list those books, not what they're using for instruction, but list those books, and we're gonna list them on our teacher website, right? And so what we do is we have a vetting process, and so again, you know, when you've been storing books for 20-something years, so teachers have a decision. They could have removed their books, or they could have vetted them and put them on the list. So you'll start to see our teacher web pages that if they have a classroom library, they have to do that. Okay? And there's also a process in place for a teacher. If they feel that they want to keep this book and we say not, there is a whole formal process for this. And so, anyway, we're just making sure that we're in compliance with it and that it's publicized very well for teachers and for parents. And so it'll go out into a newsletter for our principals when we have it ready, because that's where parents look.
Yep.
They look on those newsletters. It'll also be on a website for them to do. So those are really, I mean, that, hold on, there was one more.
Yeah.
FNG, I don't know if this is a major, it replaced a policy. All it did was student rights and responsibilities, student and parent complaint grievances. It made extensive revisions within the CKE policy, which is legal safety program, risk management, security personnel. And so it just restructured the policy. But those were really the two main things, and then the homebound one that was just new for us. And as always, if you have any questions, you know where I'm at.
Could you call public comments?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
See, there's too many.
Complaint.
That's the last one.
G.
Oh, public complaints, extensive revisions within the CKE policy series, and it says, you had to do an update to cross-reference the list, so it was nothing major there. Thank you, sir.
So we had to do a what?
Did I get them all?
Yeah, you got them all, but what was that last comment you had made?
It was, GF local public complaints,
Right.
extensive revisions within the CKE policy series, required an update to the cross-reference in the list of other complaint processes. No other changes have been made to this policy.
Tracking.
So that's still like a tier level 1,
Oh,
2,
yeah, it's all the
3.
same,
Mhm.
yeah, we just cross-referenced it. And we remember the CKE policy series are relatively new, I think they were in the last update.
Mhm.
So they're just trying to clean up things and replace it. But those were the major changes for all of those policies within update 123. Questions?
Any questions on any of these policy updates? Board members? All right.
No question.
You good?
Yeah, thank you.
Do we have a motion for this agenda item? Agenda item 32.
Mr. President, I move to approve the CASB initiated policy update 123, affecting the aforementioned local policies as discussed.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
I, Latoya Sizer.
Aaron Braxton, second.
I, Andrea Nicholas.
Aye, Willie White. Majority vote. Motion passes. Agenda item 33 is the district initiated local policy review, additions, revisions, deletions of local policy resulting from the policy session conducted on March 21 through 22, 2024, with the drafts prepared by the TASB Policy Services. The superintendent recommends an adding, a revision, and deleting of the following local policy in accordance with the proposed changes resulting from the policy review section conducted on March 21st through 22nd, 2024, and the issue brought forward during the meeting of May 16th, 2024, EIC Local Academic Achievement Class Ranking.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I too got my documents mixed up, so I was missing that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
class ranking.
Is this the one that we talked about, 4 semesters, where we provide,
Yes,
Yes.
this was brought to the board in May. There was basically wanted us to go back and do some research. We didn't have a meeting in June, so this is where we're at right now.
So I will, go back through what was done, and tell you, the research that we did for you, okay? So like Dr. Bates said, in May of 2024, the district recommended EIC local policy change. The board asked for further information regarding EIC local, regarding one area, and that was the eligibility for the local graduation honors of Val and Sal. Because there were many different parts to it, but the one piece where you wanted more information on was that piece. And so current EIC local policy, which is academic ranking, it's basically how do you determine the Val and Sal. There's other things to it, but that's the major thing. Current EIC local policy does not have any eligibility except that of highest and second rank. So it doesn't matter when they come in, when they calculate rank, it's the number 1 and the number 2 is who's the Val and Sal. In order to be in alignment with the majority of the school districts in Texas and to protect the integrity of our local graduation honor, because that's what this is, TASB recommended having eligibility for this district's local graduation honor, and the standard recommended was that a student have continuously enrolled in the district high school for the 4 semesters immediately preceding graduation. That was the one standard that you guys wanted more information on. You did not want the other 2. And so, the district administration reviewed districts in Bexar County that also have military student enrollment, and as you know, many of them do. The majority of the school districts in Bexar County have eligibility criteria like the one the district recommended, that we recommended to you guys back in May. The honor of Val and Sal for a school district is for students who have been enrolled in the district for a length of time and have taken our most challenging courses and are in the highest grade in those courses. In addition, the military provides military families experience frequent relocation or permanent change of station moves, because we know it's hard for families. And so they do have a high school junior senior stabilization program. I think we mentioned that, we talked about it last time. And so parents can request, if that's available to them, to remain in their current assignment. And so we are recommending that we keep the same eligibility criteria as we originally presented. But I did also want to go into, we looked at some of the ones. So for example, Judson, continuously enrolled in the same high school since the beginning of the student's junior year. Alamo Heights, continuously enrolled in the district high school for the 4 semesters immediately preceding graduation. Lackland has the highest and second rank like we currently have. And Randolph have been continuously enrolled in the district high school for the 2 semesters immediately preceding graduation. And so those were just some. I also looked at data for the new juniors and seniors that come in during those years. And I can just give you an example. In 2023, we had 12 juniors come in during the year, and we had 10 seniors come in during the year. Now, for whatever reason they came to us, I don't know that. I don't know the PCS, I don't know what that is. I did not have access to that. In 2022, it was 19 juniors, 12 seniors. So it kind of varies, in 2018 it was 10 juniors and 13 seniors. So we do have a few, like every high school does. And that's a common thing that high schools have, kids coming in throughout the year. Do we have more of it? When I called Alamo High, they have a few every year too. So the numbers they're all over the place.
Dr. Shanetta, educate me, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but out of those students, juniors and seniors that came in through those course of years, with their GPA, would they be competing with the Val and Sal?
Well, they could be based on our current EIC policy. So right now, if somebody came in and we're in our senior year right now, and they came for whatever reason they came, either it was just a move, it was a PCS, whatever it is, they could be eligible, yes, on our current.
On the current.
Whatever courses, whatever their policies were, because policies vary across the nation. They do vary. But the whole purpose of this local graduation honor is you're trying to reward kids that have been here with us for a length of time and have taken our courses, our curriculum, our teachers, right? And the challenge is that we are a military community, as you brought up, and they do come in, but we can't track, we don't know how to track who comes in and for what reason, and whether they are part of the rank, not part of the rank. And so we are, going forward on TASB's recommendation, which is to be in standard with the majority of the school districts in the state of Texas. And so that's the research, that we did.
I think you said Randolph is 2 semester proceedings,
So
right?
Randolph have been continuously enrolled in the district high school for the 2 semesters immediately preceding graduation. And then Lackland has the same as we currently have, ISD.
Board members, I just tell you that, I reflect back on my own road travel, and, I've actually been in 5 one-year assignments. 5. And I've dragged my kids around the world, and they had no choice, right? And so, yeah, I just think it's something to really think about. When you say, those that have been with us, I submit to you, every person that wear a uniform has been with us for the cloth of our nation for freedom. Despite where we see our kids are at, I just truly believe that no fault of the child, that at the end a small number, small percentage.
Oh, the ones that are
Correct, the ones that have come in, I mean, is it really, a showstopper? Right, I think that, academic success and academic strength. Now you got somebody coming across the way that's coming to play basketball, football, right? We kind of control that with the NRT a little bit, right? And we've had some people come in to that, in that program. But, yeah, I'm just trying to think through it myself.
Yeah, and so, so it was May, right? May when we went through this piece here. There's no technically right or wrong answer in my perspective. One of the things I look at is, we have a very advanced curriculum. And this is just something I'm putting out. So kids who come from, let's just say overseas, come from Europe, PCSN, come from Fort Bragg, PCSN, and their curriculums were lower than ours were. And our kids, which we have many who take advanced courses, and the number of advanced courses must be 4.
What?
Is there a requirement on the advanced courses for the BioSal? Is it 4?
No, so you take the most challenging courses, so a
The
kid
most
that's trying to get
challenging.
number 1
That's
and 2
what it
is gonna take AP, IB, and they're gonna try to get the highest grade that they can get.
Right.
That's your value yourself.
That's the balance out. Got it. So you could have someone coming in, a student, and I've heard of this, a student coming in, from a district that had, maybe a little lesser academic curriculums, and we have our kids, we know the advanced courses that they're taking and what they're going through. They can come in with a 1.5 GPA in their senior year, already at the top. Is that fair for our advanced biology kids? And and this is not a question, advanced math, science, considering we don't know the curriculum. I think that's the biggest thing. Some districts have different grades,
Weighting of grades.
Weighting, yeah,
They do,
different- yeah.
those do vary.
right, they
They do.
vary, and that's
Especially
another
state to state.
issue that I foresee, but that's just me.
But I think going back to your point is, so we came from Fairfax, some grades are less than because of the rated system versus some are higher. Honors is not honors across.
I've studied fair.
Yeah. So,
It's a good point.
I have a couple of things I wanna say. And I've listened, I've got the information, I read, and I still stand on what I originally said. And today, what really hit me is we keep saying our kids. Well, when that student enrolls in our school, they become our kid. So are we saying, because you've only been here 2 days, 3 days, or whatever, you're not really our kid, you're our kid, but you're not, because this one's been here longer? Because that's what I'm getting, that vibe here. And again, it's not the student's fault if they have to move. And to put this requirement that they have to be here a certain amount of time to be able to compete, the grade is the grade. If they are making the grade and they are doing what they need to do to be at the top, I feel they need to get the grade or the rank or the distinction of the top. And to be able to say, well, you didn't come here soon enough. I don't care if you make the top grade. You just sit over there and yeah, we'll give you your diploma, but you're not gonna be considered, is wrong in my eyes. I don't think that that is right, and regardless of who else is doing it, I don't care who else is doing it. I care about what Fort Sam Houston ISD is doing for their students, and the ones that are ranking at the top should get that top distinction. And as far as curriculum, we can't control what other school districts are using, but I'm hoping that our counselors are looking at those things when they're trying to compare if this grade or this class is equivalent to what we have, or if the kid needs to repeat something or whatever, and we're putting them with the GPAs and the grades and the classes that they need. So the whole piece of our kid and how fair is it if they've been here longer is a wash to me, because again, our students can't determine who or when they're going to move, how or when they're going to move. And I don't want to put her on the spot, but right after that conversation and some of the information that you just shared about them being able to ask for this stay, that stay may not always be granted. So now this kid is in a bind or is stuck because, well, my dad's command or my mom's command didn't approve for them to stay, so now I gotta go. That's not fair. And you just shared a senior right after we had this conversation, senior parent called, they're coming. So now this child doesn't even get a chance to even be in the pot because she's coming her senior year. How fair is that? What are we doing? And when we talk about our kids and we refer back to what our mission is and what we're talking about as far as educating and learners and making them all be successes, I don't feel we're meeting up to that if we approve this piece of that. I'm quiet.
No, excellent. I mean,
I just
good point.
don't.
So my understanding is we are open right now for some type of issue because we don't have anything in place. Is
No,
that
we
right?
do have current policy in place, which is, for this piece, highest and second highest rank respectively.
Right.
So they don't put on a limit of when you can come in, right? And so the standard for TASB is the 4 semesters immediately preceding graduation. And then you saw some of that in some places that didn't have it. So yes. But I also, while I do agree with everything everybody has said here, if I have been here, let's say I come here and I'm here for all 4 years. I'm here. And I know, because I know my rank and I've been here and I know that I'm gonna be a contender, or I am gonna be number 1. And then, cause I'm just playing devil's advocate. And then somebody does come in for whatever reason, PCS move, an NRT that we happen to have on a wait list, that we have space that we take, and they come in, then that automatically, it for the local graduation honor, it basically dispels what the kid that was in number one. Because this kid, for whatever reason, I know, but this kid for whatever, and that's why they do this proceeding, because it's a local graduation honor. And so I'm just trying to give you the reasoning behind the majority of what the school districts do.
Yeah.
Military, non-military, or not.
Right, but how does that dispel the honor of the distinction if it's supposed to be for the highest GPA? Regardless, if it's for the highest GPA to be recognized, it should go to the highest GPA, whether I'm there 1 day, 30 days, 365. The distinction is for the highest GPA. Not that you've been here for 4 semesters and have the highest GPA. And going back to that piece, if that is what we're saying, then we already know who our Val and Sal is gonna be come the end of their sophomore year. Because the first day of their junior year, if they're not here, they don't even count. So, but at the end of your sophomore year, you already know you're gonna be the Val and Sal. So you don't have to work for 2 years?
Well,
No, that's not-
That's not
yeah.
true.
Because
You
all
don't
those
take-
2 years worth
You've
of
gotta
grades
take
are
the
gonna
most
count.
difficult courses every year and get the highest grade in that course.
Your
But I think she's saying
And
the
then
junior
four
you-
and
and then
semesters.
you
senior,
move up. So
4
the 4
semesters.
semesters,
That's what she's saying.
Right.
you are not you're not being considered,
For
if you
violence.
come in as your junior,
Yeah.
you're not eligible for the number 1 and number 2 seat.
Even though I have
Because
the
it's a
highest
local
GPA
graduation
of
honor.
everybody, and I'm taking these high level classes, and I'm right there with the student that's been here for 4 semesters, my grades don't count, because I didn't come 4 semesters.
For 4 semesters.
But it wouldn't count for the
Awful.
majority of the schools, so not only if the person came here, but if they went to the majority of the other schools, it wouldn't
I
count.
don't care.
It would only be,
I'm talking
we would have,
Fort
I get
Sam
what you're saying.
ISD.
I know, but my point is, when kids PCS, they might not necessarily come here, they might go to Judson, they might go to Johnson, someplace else, and that rule is in place for them, so.
At those schools, and I guarantee you, I bet you parents don't know that their kiddo is not even a consideration if they don't come their first day of their junior semester.
So let me,
I guarantee you they
The
don't know
majority
that.
of the schools are doing it.
The majority of the schools have a whole bunch of rules that we don't have in place. So if we're gonna go by what the majority of schools are doing, then we need to be across the board with whatever the majority of the schools are doing, then Fort Sam needs to do it too. And I know that's not what we
I
wanna
think
do.
that what we're doing is voicing our individual opinions right
Yes.
now. We're not,
It is.
we haven't agreed on anything yet.
so if I
It
could,
is.
and this is for the greater good. PCS season is twice, right? We got a winter and we got a summer. I have PCS, at least half of my PCS moved in the summer, and I PCS in the winter. And sometimes I kept my family back so they could finish out the school year, and I went forward.
Yeah, we've done the same thing.
And so, now this is gonna be a critical factor if I was PCSing, in here in a winter time period,
Mhm.
and I just missed that 4 semester, right? And now my kiddo won't be considered, but then we say in our belief statement, we exist to serve the military child. And so I think that's the point that is really on the table, if the small pool of consideration, is it really worth the squeeze from those from an academia sense? Because in the flip side of that, right, you believe them kids are tracking who's there, right? It's like, man, I hope they found the PCS. And so now they're being considered at a higher ranking, right? Because we know we have a fluid, right?
We call those GPA boosters.
Yeah, and
In our world, right? I mean, there is that game, because the balance out is a very important honor. It brings you a lot of
scholarship money.
an opportunities, and it does.
We got one going to Howard.
Control our
I mean, Harvard.
control our
We're going to Harvard, $86,000 he was granted.
How,
And it is up to local schools.
how long was that student here? I guess most of our student that went to Harvard.
Yeah, he was there the whole time.
I don't know the answer.
So, right now, that being said, you have someone PCS move in for whatever reason, has the highest GPA, he could have knocked him out,
Well,
of
current
that.
policy, yes.
and he wouldn't have been able to get all that money
That's
to
right.
go to Harvard.
That's right.
Being here a day or
4 years or
4
2
years,
years or
right.
whatever.
But remember too is, ninth grade, we came from Virginia. We didn't have pre-AP where they getting points for a pre-AP. But I'm just saying, we don't have a pre-AP in ninth grade.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have that in a lot of states, and so they was already packed, added to their point system from a weighted standpoint. So even though you come in as a ninth grader to your 10th grade year, you're already here. If they've taken a lot of pre-AP classes, right? And so now you're just playing catch up, right? And so if they come in their junior year, what I'm saying to you too is, Ms. Nicholas, is it's gonna be a tall order anyway. And
So at least allow them to put their name
in the hat. Absolutely.
What we're going to do right now is say, you don't count. That's how I'm looking at this, because you haven't been here long enough. And I don't agree with that.
I can share something also too. I've been on the board for a while. And I've had several, well, 2 or 3 to be exact, parents who stated that their kids was here in our school district, and then for whatever reason, one retired, wasn't working on the installation, couldn't become in as an RT. Their kids was averaging like a C and a low B, 2 specific I can remember. They got to a school district here, which I won't say, and they went to an A. They shot up to an A. But here, and they bragged about it because they were C students and B. But when they went to the other district, because the curriculum wasn't as rigorous, they bounced right up to an A.
Or the policy.
But,
It's the policy.
Yes.
So it's the policy that determines rank. So that policy it was probably, maybe the policy was just like ours, first and second, respectively. When you say curriculum, respectively, that kid jumped in, and that policy said, you come in whenever you come in, right?
Uh-huh.
And your grades are gonna go with everybody else, and you're gonna jump up. And maybe he did come from somewhere that didn't have the best,
Right.
GPA policy for what they gave, points for.
Mhm.
Maybe, yes, because it varies all over.
And I'm just trying to show, from my perspective, a variation, because there's a lot of variables in this. Some school districts, their education system is not as strong as ours. And so that's I'm sorry, and so if a kid is coming in, from wherever, from a less challenging district in their senior year, but they come in with a 103, 104, or whatever GPA, but they come in from a less rigorous. Is it fair to put them over our kids who we know? And when I say our kids, let me rephrase that. The kids that are here, because once you become Fort Sam Houston ISD, you're our kid. So let's make sure that that's no misunderstanding. They're our kids. But what I am stating is, if you come from a school, and there are plenty of them, district that has a lesser academic, requirement, and you come in with a 105 in your senior year, and the kids that were here have been taking a lot of advanced courses, because they're tracking, like you stated, where they stand at. But with that 105s, and it knocks out the one who had the advanced courses, like Mr. Braxton was stating, you know, we was talking about Virginia, for instance, no school district in particular, but they didn't have pre-AP courses. So, are they on the same level?
If
You know,
that,
if that makes
using your
sense.
example,
Mhm.
if that kid came from a place that had a lesser curriculum,
Yes.
that was not basically living up to our curriculum, so to say, when they get here, they won't be the highest because they won't be able to compete. They won't have a high GPA, so they won't be in the running.
If they come in this senior year and they come with a 105, and they start the year in their senior year, they're already up.
But if they
Yeah.
can't keep up, they're gonna fail.
Yeah, cause I can tell you that Fairfax County
Mm-hmm.
was the highest in the state of Virginia. Fairfax County, my kids came from Fairfax. We purposely put them in Fairfax County,
Yeah.
right? But again, they don't have pre-AP, right? And so, but again, across the board for Virginia, Fairfax County is where you wanna be at.
That's where you want to be.
And so, but again, you transfer in, and that weighted value is not the same.
It's not the same.
And so, coming in my junior year, you know, and that's the part where, you know, I have some reservation about it, is because I've personally experienced it with a lot of these one-year moves, mid-year moves. And so, and I think we're doing a disservice if we're following our beliefs of we exist to serve the military child. Because I would say my kids have been Fort Sam babies, because they was in here elementary, one got to 6th grade, we left. We came back, right? And so we're still part of the community, right? And so it's almost like they're still at a disadvantage, you know, sort of say, if they could not compete. But, you know, I know it's a lot of discussion behind this, but,
No, I think it's a great discussion.
yeah.
So, Dr. Shannon, educate me. So let's say we vote to keep it as is. Let's say we don't go with this recommendation, we keep it as is, it would be the same, correct?
Well, there are other parts of this, policy that we really need to go into effect, because, some of it impacts, this year's graduating class.
Okay.
And so, because part of it was, looking at how we calculate, going from a weighted, grade system, right, to a different type of system, remember the weights?
Yes.
And then, and you mentioned pre-AP, and so a few years ago, College Board, I wanna say 4 years ago, College Board, rebranded themselves. Pre-AP, can no longer be considered advanced, it is grade level, so that's another change we have here. And so, if you are in pre-AP English 1, you're given your regular weight, it's on grade level.
Mhm.
You can no longer call a course pre-AP unless you're a pre-AP designated school, which we are, and that is on grade level. They rebranded themselves just a few years ago. But, so that was one major change. And then remember, we changed the weighted grade point average,
Yeah.
beginning with certain classes. So, the one that you wanted more information on was, we also updated with transferred grades, because there was a change in policy, and then the balance out piece. So there is more to it than just this.
Right.
So, yeah, and so we could go back and come back with whatever you guys want for this piece. We could do that in August. We also clarified the breaking tie for the balance out to be in more standard. Remember, it was to the, fifth decimal.
Yeah.
It's now to the third, and then remember, if there was a tie, current policy, nothing's done. Now,
Before.
we go back and we look at the number of advanced courses taken by each student involved in the tie to determine the recognition of the balance out. So there were a lot of other changes which you guys were okay with. It was the criteria for balance out, that one criteria out of the 3 of them.
So if I'm tracking, so I come from another district, in my senior year with a 105 GPA, and I take regular courses, no advanced courses in my senior year, and I finished with a 105, 103 for GPA, but the kids who took the advanced courses, and we got a number, we look at like 4, 5, etc. Is that fair to them? If I don't take any advanced courses, but I came in with a high GPA, you taking all advanced courses, which we have many who do. Is that fair? That's just a way of looking at it also. I'm trying to look at it from different venues. Because I clearly understand.
Did you just say that the AP classes are gonna be on grade level?
No.
Pre-AP.
Pre-AP.
So advanced placement is really truly advanced placement. So
Right.
pre-AP, for equity reasons, it's more on grade level to get you ready to do college stuff.
Right.
And they made that change a few years ago, and we've never changed policy on that, until coming forward with you. So we've always given the additional plus, 10 points for the pre-AP. When college boards change, we never change policy with that. And so that's one of the pieces going in now, was one of the things, because it is grade level. And so we have to make our policy match it.
The only thing that we were tabling was the fact about Val and Sal.
The eligibility criteria for Val and Sal.
So this provision, if I could, if I could, it says this provision shall apply to students in the graduating class of 24 who've already graduated, 25 this coming year. So that means that those provisions that we speak of apply to the Val and Sal and all the ranking of the students that just recently graduated.
Yes, so, no. So where you're looking on the 1 of 5, the first page where it says note the following provisions shall apply to students in the graduating class. So all of these changes below start with this graduating class. If you go to the next page, you'll see after transfer grades, you'll see note the following provisions shall apply to students beginning with the graduating class of 2029. Okay? And so, and then you'll see, now, then go after transfer grades, and you see note, the following provisions shall apply to all students regardless of their graduating class. And then you say, for the graduating class of 2024, the Val and Sal, it says, the Val and Sal shall be eligible with the highest and second rank. The graduating class of 2025 will be the changes we're recommending.
So again,
2025.
note what we were just talking about, it applies to
Yes,
what's
so,
underneath it.
so this graduating class, the class of 2024 that we just graduated,
Yeah.
we did the normal Val and Sal as
Sal, yep.
respective. But coming up with this one would be the new, for this piece. And the breaking tie piece also.
So again, board member, I think we agreed to all of the other input and additions and add-ons to the provision. I think the only thing, the elephant in the room is just the Val and Sal.
So,
We discussing it.
so,
It is.
Say the elephant is silent, we're discussing this.
get off my chest. So here's a way, this is a way I think we should go, on this. Because it's an agenda item, we can vote on the item. If it's a, majority vote, then we move forward. If it's a tie, we put it back on the agenda and have another further discussion about it. Does that sound fair? Because we are short one board member. And that's my only thing I'm looking at. We're short one board member. And so we can do that. But we need to vote because it's an agenda item, or we can just place it on our next month board meeting again for further discussion. And then we'll have 5 people, hopefully, and then we can get a fair vote.
Dr. Shanetta, do you have something you need to say?
I do not think so. If this is the EIC level policy.
But they can't amend that one part of it if they wanted to, where it says under Val and Sal, they couldn't
They couldn't.
adopt the policy, approve the policy, but change that 1 or 2 sentences?
Well, but they're not, so they're in a disagreement with what the eligibility criteria is.
Right, so leave that part off and they get to adopt the rest of it.
And then do what with that piece?
So I don't know if you need to come back to it.
Yeah,
Because
we
can't
would
you
need to
do-
come back to it. Mhm.
I've not dealt with this piece before, so I don't know.
Yeah, so I think what we would need to do, you going by Robert's rules, is we keep the agenda item together, right, and not break it apart, and we vote, and then depending on the vote, we place it back on the agenda item, you know, for the following month. And I say that because it gives you an opportunity more. This is a big issue. It's a big issue, you know. And for those, as you say, GPA chasers, you know, my son was trying to, but he didn't get it, but he was trying. I think that we need to have more time and not make a rational decision. And we can table it to the next board, but we need to vote either way or the other. So, and I would like to have all 5 board members here.
Mr. White, I know we don't have a parliamentarian
Yeah.
for the Robert Rules of Order. I would recommend that we can actually seek our current status quo and say move on with all aspects of the provision, minus that one area.
Mhm.
If our parliamentarian or attorney come back and say, no, it has to stay all together, then so be it. Then we'll bring the entire policy back as a whole. But I think that we can agree on all of the recommendations minus the violent sound ranking. And again, it's good to have a parliamentarian oftentimes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's
Absolutely.
We don't have the.
I'm confused because I thought the only thing we were discussing right now was agenda item number 33.
Yes.
So why can we not table or move this like we did other agenda items before? I'm not understanding why you're saying vote on it and then we'll see if we're gonna table it. It's one agenda item.
If it's a tie. If it's a tie vote. Only if it's a tie vote. For instance, I could vote nay. I can vote nay myself, and you can vote yay. You can vote nay. You can vote yay. We have 4 board members, and so it's a split, right? If we do the vote and that comes up, that's his status, then we put it on the agenda for the following month. And we're still not losing anything. But you'll have 5 people to vote on.
All the more reason why I'm saying, why can't we, if we're saying we want all members to have an opportunity to weigh in on this agenda item, why do we not just table it and it become an agenda item for next month versus going through a vote and, if it becomes a tie, it gets to be an agenda item next month?
Yeah. Well, going through a vote, I want to do it the right way. It only takes a minute to vote. It's real simple, yay or nay, and we stay on track. You know, I like to stay on the right track with doing it the right way. And we put it on the agenda. We're saying the same thing. I think we should vote now, and then we see where we at. But it's gonna come back.
So we voted to agree to all of the provisions minus the balance out, right? Last May, Jesus, May.
You didn't vote on this.
No, we didn't vote.
You didn't vote on this
We
policy
didn't
at
vote.
all.
We
Oh,
didn't
we
vote.
tabled it.
We
to get
tabled
more
it.
information.
Yeah,
Totally.
and that's where we're at now. Since we didn't have a June board, it seems like but we didn't have a June board. And I also think that it would give Dr. Shanetta an opportunity to reach out to council too, and see, can we split, the agenda portion of it, right? Because right now I don't know if we can split it or not. I'm not sure.
But I think it goes back
I would
to
rather have a
the
clear
business.
answer. I would rather have a clear answer from legal before we do something wrong. I'd rather vote on it, see what we come up with, and then give you an opportunity to research with council.
So we have to vote. You said we have to vote today. possibly, I would like to have the fifth, board member here.
I won't five, yes.
Because it's a sensitive topic, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about fairness. Fairness, that's a big word, and it's hard to be fair across the board on everything. You know, you can use an example. This is home of medicine. And so medics, they come here a lot. Those who are not medics don't get that opportunity. I was never stationed at Fort Sam Houston, didn't know anything about it, quite frankly, because of what I did in the Army. So the medic kids, in my opinion, will always have an advantage if we're gonna do 4 years. Okay? When you come here as somebody else, as a brigade commander or whatever in another field, and your kid comes in as a junior or a senior, they don't have the advantage that the medics have, and that will be the case everywhere. At Fort Meade, you're gonna have the intel folks, they have the advantage, or the public affairs people, they have the advantage. Yeah, for the Shuka, same thing. So I'm thinking about that. I take that into consideration. So I think it's fair. I would request that we wait until next month when the quick board member is here, so that we can think it through a little bit longer and get her vote as well.
But we gotta vote on that? If we're gonna do that,
No, I
we gotta
think
vote
you
on
can
that piece,
table
right?
it. You
We
can
just go
table it.
straight table?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm actually asking for a vote, cause I'm asking, is that what we agree upon? I can't make that decision.
Is
So-
what we agree
I
on.
asked
that we
The table.
table the number,
The board
agenda
has to
item
stay.
number 33, that we table
We still vote.
till next month's meeting.
So we still voting to say yes or no. I can't say, I can't say make the decision. Please, just, we can take, I just need everybody to say what they
We're
want.
voting to table. Yeah.
Yes, so we are, so here, agenda item on 33, we're going to, I recommend to the board, that we table this agenda item for next month, place it back on the, as an agenda. At that time, we will have, hopefully, all 5 board members, but we also will have an opportunity to have legal counsel to make sure, you know, because it all kind of tied into TASB and everything. So we want to make sure we have legal counsel. So if that's the case, are you guys in agreement with table it to the next meeting? That sound right?
I agree that we table, but I don't necessarily agree that we need to involve legal in it again, because that's a whole nother payment that we're gonna have to make for them to come
Well-
back and say the same thing they've already told us.
Well, legal is how we do things. That's why
I understand
TASB,
that.
yeah, that's why TASB,
To
kind
pay
of.
them again to tell us something they've already told us is ridiculous.
We didn't talk to legal about this.
So, so I texted legal during this conversation to try to get some
Oh, okay.
guidance. And Ms. Jenny Hall says you could approve, you could vote and have it fail and then go back to the drawing board and bring it back next month, or you could table it until next month. So you do have some options.
That's what I'm saying. I just need for you guys to think what you want to do.
I vote to table it to next month.
I vote to table it to next month.
I vote to table it to next.
Okay, and I vote to table it to next month. So at this time, agenda item number 33, the board has decided to table it until next month's board meeting, in which we will review the topic again. So 4 of the 4 board members that are here today has agreed upon that. That's good, Ms. Timmons. Verbiage, we're good, right? Okay, so agenda item 33 will be tabled to next month. Agenda item 34 is a closed meeting that's authorized by Texas Government Code, section 551.071, attorney consultation, 551.074, personnel matters, and 551.0821, student matters. The time is now